Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Yo.
Yes. It worked.
All right. I have feedback on your end.
Instagram's back. Test.
Test. There we go.
All right. Come on in, people.
Here we go.
Hello, all. Man, people are excited to be here tonight.
Good. That's good.
As the people pour in, do you have a mail day this week?
Yes. I don't. I'm like in the weird week where all my mail days are coming on like Monday of next week, but I do have a few that were gifts to us. All gifts to us.
Let's go.
Let me start with those.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got this one after last Friday, so I wanted to give a shout out to Ben Nonsense Name Cards again. One of our favorite viewers of the show. He gave me this. So this is the Todd Gurley variation prism. So this isn't the true. This is the variation. And I think there's only 10 players in the set for the variation, which is kind of interesting. But it's still gold prism, still numbered to 10. 5 out of 10. I think this one's pretty sweet. I like it. It's still got that kind of classic. It's got the same kind of background as the Jokic, you know, like the silvery background.
Yep.
So that's one.
Yep.
Yep, 2015, same as Jokic. And then I'll mix it up. Here's one for you. This was given to you by Frankie, WTF Frankie Podcast. On
Thank you, Frankie.
Friend of the show. So this here is a 2018 Panini Select Sparks Relic Prism Gold, number to 10, 1 out of 10.
Let's go. First in the set.
So Frankie sent me a package, and one of them had your name on it. So I figured we should open it for crossover because that'd be kind of fun. And then he sent me this one, which is also a rookie Prism Gold. I don't know. You guys are too nice. Sending me rookie Prism Golds. I get that they're not worth a ton of money, but still, like, someone collecting him, this stuff isn't easy to find, you know?
Man, that's sick. Back when Prism did die cuts.
So this is a insert called Prism Helmets, I believe.
Nice.
And this is actually the last year they were in St. Louis. Todd Gurley's rookie year, they were in St. Louis. Then they moved to LA his second year. So this would be the St. Louis Rams helmet here. And this is also out of 10.
Nice.
Look, Josh, identity theft is not a joke, and it's a federal offense to open someone else's mail. Just saying.
I did ask him. I asked you.
Christina always assumes the worst.
Yeah. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. We got to sneak in at least one office quote. Do you have any mail days?
No, we don't have any mail days, do we? No.
Did you have to?
But we went to Panini yesterday, and I got to open Chronicles before it came out,
That's true.
and that was very cool.
She wasn't supposed to talk about that, but that's okay.
It already released.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the episode came out today.
Oh, okay.
Well, I need to
You
watch
made a
that.
post about the episode, bud.
So did you? Was that like a remote thing? Obviously, or no? You went there, right? Because you guys are pretty close.
Yep. We went in. We're about 20 minutes away. Pretty dangerous.
So how was the headquarters? How was it?
Nondescript, which is how they like it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we were greeted there by Pat Geek, who is in charge of content and other things at Panini, and he's a great guy.
They don't have like an archway that says like "Welcome to Panini America."
No, they don't. No red carpet appeared either when we entered. So that must have been a mistake or something.
Yeah, it was being cleaned, I was told.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But Christina, so that is jumping the shark a little bit, but in the news and announcements segment of today's show, we might as well say it now, Christina was on Panini America's YouTube channel. Nice hour-long interview, talks card ladder, talks collecting, talks content. So huge shout-out to Pat Geek, Jeff, and Panini for having us there. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So you don't have any mail days then, besides those from WTF Frankie and No Nonsense?
Nope. Well, then why don't you tell about the Cowboys game?
Well, what do you want to know about the Cowboys game?
The stadium, like the experience. You guys is your first game since moving to Dallas, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Cowboys got destroyed, and to add injury to insult, Dak Prescott broke his thumb on one of the final plays.
Was the stadium just quiet?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the stadium was so disengaged from the game by the time Dak went out that I think people were actually kind of excited. Like, Cooper Rush coming in actually was giving some energy to the crowd.
Their offense was so bad.
Yeah, it was very cool to watch Tom Brady. There were a decent number of Brady jerseys in the audience, and then maybe 1,000 to 2,000 people gathered and waited for him to exit the field and cheered for him when he ran off the field. A football game, you can fit around 10 NBA basketball courts inside of a football field, so that gives some context to how much larger an NFL stadium is than an NBA one is. And it's just a much bigger arena than basketball games, by multiples.
Mark is saying that we might be bad luck, so he might ban us from the AFC.
Oh, yeah. All in all, great time.
So was everyone in the stands rushing to eBay to buy Cooper Rush cards?
Yeah. Well, I can't help but think how many other card collectors are in the stands but us when I go to sports events.
Yeah.
There were other. Robin PC was there taking pictures from the event. A few other people on Instagram were there too. So we weren't the only ones among the tens of thousands. I don't know what the capacity is.
A bunch of Brady worshippers now with all their money tied up in Brady.
Okay, well, look, we're getting into that topic soon. Don't worry. So, any other news or announcements for this week before we get to questions?
No, you guys are the ones with all the excitement. I'm just sitting here buying $20 Todd Gurley cards.
All right, don't sell yourself short on those girlies just yet. All right, well, welcome to the crossover. Today is Friday, September 16th. And we're going to open up today's show with some NFL talk. Why is that funny? All right. We're going to start it off spicy. So this comes from South Park Cards. And South Park says, Trevor Lawrence was the greatest prospect in the last decade and possibly since Peyton Manning, according to ESPN and all media outlets. Yet he hasn't even had a stretch of good games in his career. He hasn't even had one dominant performance in his career. T-Law was statistically outplayed by every quarterback in his draft class last season. He only has 2 career games with more than 1 touchdown, one of them being 3 TDs with 3 picks. He's only thrown for over 300 yards twice. Bottom line, at what point do we realize Trevor Lawrence is not who he was advertised to be?
I mean, I think it's a little early to throw in the towel, but that's pretty strong data. Not more than 1 touchdown is pretty damning.
Yeah, so what did he say? He said only 2 career games with more than 1 touchdown.
That's a crazy stat. I mean, he did play a full season last year, right?
Yeah. Well, counterpoints. What happened when T-Law went up against Josh Allen?
I think they beat him 10-4. It was did they even score a lot in that game?
It was I believe it was 9-6.
Oh yeah, there you go. He scored no
Lawrence
touchdowns in that game.
Beat everybody's MVP top 2 candidate Josh Allen last year head to head.
Well, I think Josh Allen Josh Allen beat Josh Allen in that game, if you remember. I think he sacked him like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, well, I don't believe Peyton Manning had a great first season either.
That's my favorite one. It's like if you have a bad season, all you got to do is compare him to Peyton Manning, and that's good for you.
Hope is not lost just because you're terrible in your first year.
Well, I'm more optimistic about just like how terrible, the culture was in the team, and like the locker room and the coach, and like everyone kind of hated being there last year. And that seems like it's hopefully turned around this year, and it's only been one game. They played fairly well. I'm still optimistic on Lawrence. I mean, at the prices it costs to buy his cards, I'm not. But as a fantasy football guy or a football fan, I'm optimistic.
Okay, well, the jury is still out, but second season here is definitely second season is definitely where he's gonna make or break. I see South join the chat late, but South, we kicked it off with your T-Law slander, and it was pretty well received, even by an admitted T-Law fan down below. So, all right. Next topic. Got 3 questions on this one. Modest Card Collection says, let's discuss Josh and his inbox versus the investing bros. Card Shop Dad says, please talk about the soft collectors, in air quotes, whose feel-weens. What's a feel-ween?
No idea.
Like feelings.
Is that your ween having feelings?
No, you're like crying.
Okay,
Feelings.
Like you're a baby.
The feel-weens were heard by Josh's posts. Are Josh's comparison posts the first step in a full heel turn, HBK, or
That's the best question. Heel turn. I'm a wrestling bad guy.
And then Leather Helmet Card says, why were people so triggered by Josh's representation of bias versus the data in his story this week? Also, why is real estate so cheap in their heads? There was nobody against you in the questions coming in, all on your side. And let me just show a little recap here from your posts that you made this week. Slab stocks, crystallized them forever. Here's one comparison of Justin Herbert versus Matthew Stafford, where you see Herbert's BGS9 and TRPA selling for $75,000, and then Stafford's going for $3,400. Also his BGS9 and TRPA. I'll hop over here. You've got Anthony Edwards, his NTRPA BGS9 going for $50,000 versus Harden's BGS9 5 Gem going for $11,000. And I'm not going to go over all the comparisons right now, although Josh, if you want to talk about some of them, we can. But we've got Trey Lance versus Geno. We've got Kirk Cousins versus Burrow. And Slab Stocks did a nice job of saving all this stuff and putting it into a post and letting the hobby comment section run wild. So, all right, Josh, you heard some of the comments. People want to know, why are people so upset about this, and or any other takes that you have on this topic?
Well, to be honest, I only got hate from 4 or 5 people. It was actually mostly people were kind of not excited, but happy to see some light shed on this, because I think it's a really fun topic to discuss, regardless of whether you're looking for drama out of this or not. The drama kind of came up out of it from a few really loud people, which is unfortunate, because I think the data itself is fascinating. The Herbert to Stafford one, I didn't get anybody arguing with me on that one, because how can you possibly argue that? Stafford literally just won the Super Bowl, right? He was regarded as a great prospect when he was younger. It's the same exact card, same exact grade. It's right there in front of you. 74,000 to 3,500. I know that people were maybe a couple people were upset about the satire of it, my quotes in the middle. But the quotes were another way to kind of point out these are some of the things that I've heard people say on Instagram about certain players, and then you can apply that to future players. I could literally predict the future and be look, I hope Herbert does win a championship, because if he does, that means he's going down 20x. Perfect.
Because Matt Stafford did.
Because Matt Stafford
Matt
did win a
Stafford
championship.
of mere fraction, yes.
So are we though saying that Stafford, was on a good team and that's the reason he won? He didn't carry them? And we're projecting that Herbert's going to carry the Chargers? But the Chargers are loaded, man. The team is good. He can't win it by himself. The team is very good.
That's super true.
And I think Herbert is now 16-17 in his career as a starter, something like that.
No playoffs either.
No. I mean, he was close last year, but...
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take, man? I've been in the middle of it. I'm kind of biased, obviously. I'm having to, defend myself a bit. People are questioning, my football knowledge at this point, which I don't...
Let's talk about that for a second.
I don't see how that applies necessarily because, I'm just posting, comps. I guess the point is, who are you to compare these players? You don't know football in order to compare Burrow to Cousins, I guess, right?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about why football knowledge comes into play here, but for as long as I've known you, you've been really into football and you know a lot about it. So, yeah, that's like a red herring. Let's discredit the author of this content by saying he doesn't know anything about sports instead of just talking about the topics that are on the table, which are why are players drafted over the last 3 to 5 years so much more valuable than players who were drafted 10 to 15 years ago. That's the topic that people should talk about. And look, so I got to thinking myself, am I guilty of making dumb decisions buying stuff? Because I said, I put a lot of money into Christian McCaffrey, and how does that compare to somebody like Marshall Faulk? Is it dumb of me to collect a player that I love to watch play, whose cards are very expensive, and who hopefully has another half decade of play ahead of him? Am I dumb? Is this a terrible decision? Am I feeding into a hobby ecosystem that is destined to fail? And then I went and I looked up Marshall Faulk prices, and I was like, well, Faulk prices have been going up lately. And he had a PMG Red, which is number 250, sell for about $4,200 not long ago. It's not a rookie card of his.
He doesn't have rookie cards.
Yeah, he has very few.
Nothing relevant to what you care about.
Exactly. So that's a healthy price. That's a really healthy price. And that sale happened just a few months ago. And it kind of goes to this trend that, whether it's Tom Chambers or Chris Webber or Ben Gordon or Marshall Faulk, these players are seeing really strong prices most recently. So I do think there's actually substance driving purchasing decisions behind people making the very comparisons that you were making. Because, lots of these players, are not seeing big year-over-year growth. Their card prices just come out the gate high. But Marshall Faulk, some of these other guys that I named, their prices have been coming up this year. If you look up their highest card sale ever, it happened really recently. So I think there is something to it that people do find persuasive. What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that people actually are looking to players like Marshall Faulks and others and spending more than they ever have on those players now?
Well, the part that concerns me that you said was that you're asking yourself, am I dumb for doing this? Which is the thing I was hoping to avoid, but it seems like that might have been some of the issue is that, it's making it seem like I was questioning people's intelligence of why would you do this if you know it's going to go down? It was more of a two-pronged thing of a warning because, we've talked about it a million times. We've always been trying to educate people so that they don't come in, get burned, and leave, right? It's kind of this thing we've talked about over and over. So that's the first piece. And the second is that I just thought it was an interesting topic. It's just fascinating because I started plucking a couple of them and started noticing, oh, my God, it's happening on every single player. I can't find a single player. Go look at Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. It's honestly, shocking just how cheap some of those guys are. And obviously, I was sparked into it through Gurley, yourself with Le'Veon Bell. We're seeing it ourselves. And it's just a really interesting thing. Like, why are people spending so much more on players that are young?
Mhm.
And the only player I could even think of that's modern was Brady. Like, literally everybody else was cheaper than all of those guys. It was like, people are like, he might be the next Manning. Literally, Peyton Manning is cheaper than, like, Peyton Manning cards on the whole, their market cap is cheaper than Burrow, Trey Lance. It's crazy. Um, and so it was just like crazy enough. I felt like it was worth a discussion. I'm just fascinated by it. So you asked about, these older guys. I mean, I think it's interesting. I'm not really seeing much data though to back it up. Like Falk, yeah, we can see like a few grand. The reason I picked the players I did was like we're talking about like 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure sales. Those are staggering, humongous numbers. If you're talking about Falk selling for 3 grand, 4 grand, I'm just not sure. That's just like not wild enough to pique my interest in terms of this discussion. So I was kind of more interested and focused in on the quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
my next thought was like, why is it so much more expensive? Is it just like the thrill of the prospecting? Is it the modern products are better? Is it, like more people have come in recently with more investment, so they're more like upfront invested in these guys, so they feel like they have to continue that, and there's never been like this huge wave into the older rookie classes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's three things to that. The first one I think is these leagues are so much bigger and generate so much more money now. So NFL revenues are 4 to 5x what they were 20 years ago, and that actually lines up pretty neatly with some of the multipliers that we see. The second one I think is that over the last 5 years, it is this particular crop of players. It's the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows and the Justin Herberts who have electrified card collecting audiences. And no offense to Drew Brees, no offense to Ben Roethlisberger, but no offense to Matthew Stafford. But for reasons, whether we can solely attribute them to the quarterbacks or bigger macro hobby effects, those guys had, a tiny fraction of the amount of hobby interest during the most exciting parts of their careers.
Yep.
They just didn't get the job done in terms of, coming out in great products and in terms of, captivating audiences in a way that's going to galvanize collecting support. The third thing is that I think people just have always had a desire to collect players that they can connect with. So, like, I'm also guilty of this too because I collect Michael Jordan, whereas there are top 10 players, or I collect Nikola Jokic, whereas there are players like Tim Duncan, there are players like Larry Bird, who are also considered top 10 all-time players whose cards go for mere fractions of these other players that I collect. But, I've decided to collect these players because they resonate with me and they speak to me and I like the stories that they tell. And then the final one is like, I think we have to give some credit to the structure of the hobby itself. Yeah. So like I asked this question to Julian on Clubhouse to like kind of be my guinea pig for this. I said, what are Justin Herbert's 3 best cards? And he said NT Shield, Prism Black, and then maybe his Immaculate Shield or his Flawless Shield. It was really easy to rattle off Justin Herbert's 3 best cards and to identify that NT, Prism, and then Immaculate or Flawless are the best brands. And then I said, okay, what are Ben Roethlisberger's 3 best cards? And nobody knew. Nobody on the app could chime in and say, well, this is his best card, this is his second best card, this is his third best card. Now, we could have gone and researched it and looked it up and said, well, here's all the offer of the products, this is probably the most prestigious one, here's the order. But even if we go look it up, if we expect those cards to do well value-wise, then we're going to hope that everybody else goes and looks them up and learns about that hierarchy as well. And that's probably not going to happen. So those are some of the reasons why, like to your question, like how can we explain maybe what's really kind of irrational or illogical pricing? I would start there.
I hesitate.
Okay, but hold on to it for a second. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, and people have been rattling off these reasons and comments, especially on the Slab Stocks post, and I agreed with all of them. Like this, I get it. It makes sense. Like this makes sense. And I've said it more recently on the show. You've heard me say it several times. We're watching these auctions, and I just say, you know what? That Anthony Edwards 101 is a freaking sick card. People are bidding $100,000. Who am I to say don't do this? Like I've been more open to it. Dr. Elman's actually in the chat, which is awesome. He's one of the guys that spoke up about it, and he said wax prices are higher. That's another reason. Like people are paying more to get into these breaks, and so therefore the prices are higher. The next interesting piece is like, will these prices sustain for these guys, even though they didn't for those older generations, because of all those reasons you listed out? And my hypothesis is that they will not, because we've already seen the massive dip in players of like just a few years ago. Daniel Jones is one that comes to mind. We're seeing a pretty big dip on Kyler Murray. Deshaun Watson stuff has dipped a ton. Baker Mayfield stuff has fallen off a cliff. I posted one this morning. His NT Shield 1/1 sold for $110,000. Our predictor has it at $33,000 just based on his index. So, it's still, for me, like, I still have to stand my ground a little bit and say, like, I caution people. I still think it's wildly overpriced, and I just don't see how it can possibly hold up, even stating all of these reasons now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christina.
Well, I think that one of the reasons why people are willing to spend this kind of money on cards is because they saw what happened with, like, Luka, Otani, and Mahomes, which came out relatively around the same time in the 3 different sports, and how people who got in on them early and like went all in on them have reaped the benefits of not just monetary.
If this is longer than 30 seconds, you have to come on the camera.
Not just monetary or like good, like you have a cool collection, but you get to say you were right. And like I think that people's egos want to like be stroked of I was right, I chose the right prospect, and therefore, oh my God, you guys, I hate you.
Yeah, you cannot do a monologue off camera. You have to come and say it to the camera. Okay, go ahead, Christina. Talk about stroking egos.
I just want to say that people want to know that they're right. Like people want to be like, I was right. Like I picked Mahomes, and therefore I'm going to show this card every week on this at the same time every week. I was right about Otani. Like I have the best Otani collection. I was right about like whoever. And yeah, Julian is cutting me off. So thanks.
All right. Well, Josh, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, all of those players you named, if you would have invested into them in your scenario that you're describing, it would have been exponentially cheaper than what it is for these modern football quarterbacks. Exponentially. Luka, you guys know, the Luka stuff was in the 4 figures. The high-end stuff, the gold prism stuff, the national treasure stuff. The Giannis took like 4 or 5 years for that stuff to finally take off. Mahomes sat out his entire first year. You had a year and a half, 2 years, because we're coming up into 2019. And the counter to that might be like, hey, it's relative. There's more money in the hobby. People have more equity built up through other cards. The prices are just higher, inflation, etc. That might be true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. In the rebuttal here is that like it's difficult to call the top, although so there's 2 slightly different points. Is there will be a top is 1,
right?
And then 2 is when is that top? Is it now? Is it a year ago? Is it 2 years from now? Because I remember when that Herbert Shield was pulled at the National last year, and then it was sold and purchased for $550,000. And I went back and I looked at the card letter comments when we posted that sale. And there were a handful of people who said this card will never be more than it's worth now. Stupid purchase, overrated. And then a year later, it sells for $1.8 million. So you're saying there will be a top, but I don't know that you're saying the top is right now.
Yeah, I completely acknowledge that. There's even people, coming back and saying like, I know that you're saying that the card value is going to go down. I even agree, but I'm the one that's like riding it up, and I'm making money on the ride up. So I'm smarter than everybody else, whatever the statement you want to make is, which is fine. The education part of it, though, Chris, is that there's only like a handful of people that are buying these like $2 million ones, these $1 million ones. The issue is that this trickle down of all these guys into like super random parallels numbered to 199 that people are paying 4 figures for. They can't afford that, thinking it's going to go to 5 figures or it's going to like creep up into this next realm. When those cards go down into the 2 and 3 figures, that's actually more of a ripple throughout the hobby. Like we can sit here and look at these $1 million sales and say like this guy's going to either double his money and sell it for 2, or he's going to. It doesn't really affect that person as much if they can afford something like that. It's more of this like everything is worth a ton of money. All Herbert cards, every Prism Parallel, every Mahomes Purple Power is worth $5,000, $10,000. That stuff can also come down at the same sort of rate. So I'd be concerned about that at like a much broader scale.
That's a great point. And like, I don't know how much more there is to beat around on this topic, but
I have one more to beat on.
Yeah, I think we have to have the conversation and have it in a way that we have fun with it. Like, look, some people have made amazing gains on cards, and I think it's okay to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit. Lameme James helps us all laugh at ourselves a little bit, I think is fair to say. So, I think we have to be able to have these discussions. We have to be able to look at these data points and like approach it from two, like there's 2 polar ends, right? One end is like, I look at the market and I just follow the market religiously and I don't question the market. The market knows all. The market is everything. The market is right. So whatever the market says, I follow it. If the market says this car is worth X in relation to players Y and Z, then just the market knows all. And then the other polar end is like, people in the hobby are dumb. This market knows nothing. This market makes no sense. It's completely out of whack. This is just nonsense. And then the answer is somewhere in the middle to say that, like, just like you said, we can learn something from this market and try to explain why it is the way it is, while also maintaining our ability to say something's out of whack. There's something not lining up when you put, a $300 Geno Smith card against a roughly equivalent $30,000 Trey Lance card. Let's figure out if this market makes perfect sense or if maybe it doesn't, and how can we bridge the gap? How can we have a discussion about it?
Yeah. I know, the straw man argument was like, oh, the comparison cards aren't perfectly equivalent. I used my vast knowledge of cards to be able to make those determinations on my own. Like people were like, oh, it's a regular refractor Rodgers versus a gold vinyl Mahomes. That Rodgers is a pop 13, and it's an extremely tough card to get. I know the market. I know the cards. So to discredit the comparisons, I think is unfounded, but that's fine. The part that I did want to make my last rant on is, the need to like put down people who collect certain players just because that player is cheap, I think is a completely ridiculous point, and that's the part that got most people fired up, myself included. And if we want to play that game, we can go look at like some Baker Mayfield cards that people are losing $80,000 on. If you want to go down that path, if I don't know football, at least I'm not spending $100,000 on Baker Mayfield. So I think I know football just fine to be able to spend $100 on Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's ever collected a low-end player recognizes the low-end shaming when we see it in action.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
and it's surprising that you guys are pointing it out since I've been getting it from both of you for the past year.
Okay, so Chris Cards KC had a question on this, which is, why do some people look down on collecting players who are not seen as good investments, such as Todd Gurley? And I'm going to throw Christian McCaffrey in there as well, because I've been taking the smoke for 2 years. Okay, so what do you say? Why do people look down on collecting players who don't meet the traditional criteria for being a good investment?
Well, I mean, in a lot of cases, it's probably like this one felt like, oh, you're just a hater. What do you know? Just like turning to personal attacks because they don't really, you're backed into a corner. You kind of just go for the personal attack. I don't know. It didn't feel like anything more than that. I can't think of anything more.
Yeah, but it's not just like, it's not only provoked by this discussion. I've been hearing this for years.
Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, why are you collecting Christian McCaffrey? You know those cards are never going to go up in value. And here's what I say to that. Especially when it's like a chorus of people who all believe the same thing.
I love this take.
And in that case, it is. Maybe you all are right, and if so, fine. But because let's just be clear, nobody wants to lose money when they buy cards. Nobody voluntarily says, "Let me pay way more than a card is worth, so that I immediately lose thousands of dollars as soon as I buy it." That's only for buying cars and/or real estate in this market. Nobody wants to do that with cards. So when any of us are collecting these players, we're not thinking to ourselves, we tell ourselves a story that we think these are going to do okay. Maybe, hopefully they'll hold value. Maybe they don't, but there's also a chance of upside as well. But when a whole chorus of commentators all sort of unanimously agree on something, I like to be on the other side of that, especially when I've got reasons to believe that there's substance to my approach to collecting. And I think that that's a place, generally speaking, where most people want to be. If you're in complete harmony with the opinion of the masses in the hobby, you have no edge. There's nothing special, or there's nothing particularly insightful or intuitive about your insights. They're just common knowledge. They're common sense. And if you are trying to approach this as a market, being part of the herd, being part of the common sense approach to the hobby, means you're just going to flow with the herd. You're just going to go as they go. You're going to go as the market goes. You have no edge. You know what? Sometimes that's completely fine. Some people don't want to have an edge or go against the grain. But I don't think there's anything inherently wrong. And we shouldn't feel bad about the players we choose to collect or whatever, just because lots of people think it's an unwise decision. Because there's something to recommend being there's something to recommend being seen as unwise by the hobby masses.
Well, also, you and I are very secure and comfortable in who we are as people in the hobby and in life and as collectors. So, like, we don't need to feel, cool by collecting certain players. Like, we just collect, like, literally in the truest sense of the phrase, we actually collect what we like. We're not really concerned about whether people agree with it. To your point, like, we're not trying to fit in necessarily with a certain type of group of people. This is just what we like to do, and this is what we're confident with. So I think a lot of it is like insecurity, maybe on the side of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I impressing enough people? Is this like what other people would accept me for? So I think there's some of that going on. Yeah,
you said it a lot better than I did, but that's exactly what I was trying to get at. Okay, last question is sort of related to this topic. LAFC Gooner says, why is it impossible to have intellectual discussions? By the way, I think we just had a nice one, but why is it impossible to have those discussions in hobby content or in the hobby?
You had the answer, the perfect answer. Just read it.
Yeah, my answer basically was because there's a lot of money involved in the hobby.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, self-interest tends to override intellectual honesty.
Which is...
You can't even help it.
We couldn't even get to the discussion of, like, is Herbert and Stafford a good comp? Because there was just so much money involved on the Herbert side that I just can't reasonably have a conversation.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Some of the funnier ones were like, the guy on top was like 100x the price of the guy on bottom, and people are like, how offensive to the guy on bottom that you would compare this older player to this guy who hasn't done jack shit. And I'm like, I get your side of it too, The Jay Cutler one, people are like, Jay Cutler, he should be offended.
Yeah, that was a funny comment. I saw that when I was pulling up that post, because you had Cutler versus Trevor Lawrence, right?
Mm-mm.
And they
no, because you said the Manning thing too, and I keep hearing that like, well, Manning had a bad first year, so Lawrence is going to turn around. I'm like, he's literally more expensive than Manning himself.
Yeah.
I forget whose color was Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this discussion is going to keep going, and it's going to require thinking introspectively about these topics and coming up with reasons and explanations. And this discussion is not going to end.
Well, it happens every year, dude.
I know it's hard because like people have a lot of money in this, but people need to like take a step back and take a breath and then be like, how can I express why I'm spending this money instead of getting so defensive when someone asks, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's really well said. Okay.
Do you think I could have done it any differently or better to not come across as arrogant or, questioning people's decisions?
No, man. And look, it does no good. Like, we all have our personalities. We all express things. It takes two people to get offended. The person to make the allegedly offending statement, but then the other person to say, I'm going to take offense. With some of this stuff, spicy, yes, but that's because it spoke to a truth, like we'll just go to the Herbert versus Stafford one. Just wait until he wins a Super Bowl. So, if I'm a Herbert person, I can either say, man, screw that guy. He's trying to say that my guy is Stafford and he's not. Or you can just say, well, all right, there's some substance to this. And you have to be able to say that, I think. I think you have to be able to say that, yes, Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl and then had years of incredible statistics leading up to it and is going to be in all of the top, statistical categories by the time his career's over. So you have to be able to say, well, yeah, there's something to this. Matt Stafford does look really cheap. Okay, grant that point and then say, but here's some of the other things that aren't being considered right now. And then they can go into some of the other stuff that I laid out. But as soon as we start getting in our feelings about it, it gets tough. That's what I said.
Well, basketball's coming next. Nobody's safe.
Basketball is definitely coming next. Basketball, like, what do you say to that? What do you say to the fact that I collect Jordan, you collect LeBron, but what about Kareem? What about Larry Bird? How come those guys' prices are such fractions of the guys we collect? Are we doing something wrong?
Well, I'll tease it a little bit. I had to put Luke on this list. I have to. And I really struggled to find a comp for him. And my best one was Larry Bird, but he doesn't have a card that is like even remotely like my intellectual, skill at trying to figure out the comp on the card is at risk. I can't in good faith put a triple Bird, Magic, Irving rookie against some Luka. It just doesn't compute. The football quarterback one was a little easier. I just had way more quarterbacks to choose from. It's hard. I don't know who to pick, and the Bird one was tough. So I'm gonna try really hard on basketball. But if I exclude a player, it's because the guy I wanted to comp him to just didn't have the card that matches, and I don't think that's a fair. If you can't find a comparable card, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. And that reminds me too, because Luka does have comps to more modern players, but the ratios make sense in most cases. His RPA is somewhere to a third to a half of Giannis. It's 25% Curry.
No, that's not the game though. The game is finding an older player that, to me, should have more value because of some set of accomplishments, but doesn't for the simple fact that they're older. That's the game to me.
Yeah.
So I have to stick.
Hold on. But that's why that's why we also have to give a nod to. I don't really see anybody bringing this up because it's tough to talk about because of all the different vested interests. But Mahomes was used as the benchmark for the Herbert pricing. Like the Herbert pricing is like 30% of Mahomes or 20% of Mahomes.
Yeah, I get it.
That's how the reasoning is going. They're saying if the Mahomes is X, then Herbert is 1/3 X.
Yeah. Well, that's why to me that content is played a lot. That's why this got so much interest. I think is because this isn't something that we've visited. This isn't like a comparison that's normally been done. It's a little bit unique and a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it's super unique. I agree, and like that Julian, to quote him for the second time tonight, made the point. You can compare up in the Mahomes situation, but that at best is only half the comparison. You also have to compare down.
Yeah.
If you're only comparing up, or if you're only comparing down, we're missing a big and important part of the story.
Someone fill it. I've picked my lane. I don't own this topic.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Christina. What do you got?
Well, I was just gonna say, Josh called it a game, so I was gonna say, what do you call this? What's this game called? Piss off as many collectors as possible.
See, you guys are hashtag Shawn Michaels. I don't know.
Look, I think this is just in its infancy. So
This is the second inning of this bullshit. Well, like if you wanted to do like the Luka one, it's like, oh, compare him to LeBron or Jordan, and his prices are too high of a fraction. That just isn't as interesting to me. Like, I get it. He's
it's also
like
not true. Luka's RPA is 10% of LeBron's.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like 10%. Some people might say that's too high, or it's 10% of the Jordan Green or whatever. Like people might want. I like to do it the other way, where it's like, why is Herbert 20x Stafford? That one is just a different way to. It's just that's the way that I like to do it on that one.
Yeah, and it's a fun exercise. It's also insightful. Like, did you look a little bit differently at Matt Stafford cards? Like, I did.
The only reason this came up, yeah, of course. The only reason this came up is I'm like, why am I paying $100 for like Todd Gurley's third best card? How is this possible? Let me keep looking into like what other players are like this. It's like, oh my god, it's everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you saying you wanted to go buy a Matt Stafford card?
No, because I don't give a shit about Matt Stafford, but it did make me think about like. There is something way out of whack here from my sense of the market, and it made me want to go look at what people are selling Matt Stafford cards for and why.
He's active too. He's fucking like got 5 years left, and he plays for the defending champs.
Yep.
What am I missing? Like, can you not still prospect Matt Stafford? What's the issue? What am I missing?
Yep. Well, and then also like to the old players' point, like people want to talk about these new players and they don't want to talk about the old ones. Like we could do right now, on Card Ladder, a post about the history of Matt Stafford's top 10 cards and a post about the history of Justin Herbert's top 10 cards. And that Herbert post is going to get infinitely more engagement and more interested parties.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's just what people want to talk about. They don't want to talk about players that they don't have a connection to or that they don't have incentive to want to talk about.
Well, this is like your point about, when everyone's doing this thing, you want to be doing something different. It's the same for this. Like, the more you keep saying that, the more I'm like, I'm about to go keep digging and make this even more fucking painful for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just so many guys. Like, basketball is going to be crazy. I've already got a list of like 15. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's what drives content, Like, people want to talk about the Cade Cunninghams. They want to talk about the Zion Williamsons. That's who they want to talk about. So, I wish more people cared about John Wall. I wish more people cared about Geno Smith.
What about players that used to be talked about in the sense that you're talking about, but just like it's faded over time? Like, people used to talk about Blake Griffin the way that they talk about not as much as Zion, but like a decent percentage of what they talk about Zion today. He was super hyped.
Yeah, but it's just a hard comparison to make because I wasn't there when Blake came into the league. I wasn't collecting, and I wasn't really closely following the NBA when Griffin came into the league. But I can tell you this: when Zion was getting ready to come into the league, we were going to trade nights at Bullpen, and there were people showing up who had never been to card events, and they were strictly buying cards because they were so excited about Zion. Like that's the power of these players that some of these other guys, they just never had the star power. They never had the hobby size. They just weren't able to carry it. So
No, dude. Derrick Rose, like I was fighting off people on forums that Derrick Rose was going to be better than LeBron for like his first 5 years. Like there was so much hype on Derrick Rose. And it's obviously super different also because back then there was just less social media. There's less exposure to this type of hype that we're talking about. So like the medium is a big part of it. I wasn't in cards, so I wasn't able to use that as a reference point of like, well, this guy's cards are somewhere done. But it happened, man. There was a huge hype train for a lot of these guys, similar to what you hear today. Obviously, like I said, different social media medium, but I promise you that this like hype thing is not like a last 5 years thing. It's been happening for a long time. It's just that, you know, once Rose got hurt, once it's faded, like the feelings just fade, and after 5-10 years, you completely forget about it.
yeah, no, I completely agree with that. The flip side of the coin is that Derrick Rose cards have never sold for more than what they sell for today. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's why you have to break it down into two parts. A, you can call a top. You can say eventually this player's card prices will lose interest. People will lose interest in player. But then B, when is the top? Because everybody who tried to call the Herbert top last year was dead wrong. Everybody who tried to call the Josh Allen top last year, completely wrong. And I've seen people try to call tops on other young players too, completely wrong. So it's two different questions.
Well, I'm calling the top on all these quarterbacks right now.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm not. I can't call tops. I think that's a really difficult thing to do. And I would hate to be wrong about it. So, okay. All right. Next, this question comes from Power Wheels. The debate that Skip and Shannon had this morning.
Yep.
And by the way, hold on. All right, the debate Skip and Shannon had this morning about Michael Jordan's Last Dance jersey sale. Shannon brought up LeBron's rookie card sale. Skip brought up Mickey Mantle's rookie card sale. What are your thoughts on that? I thought it was pretty cool seeing them bring up sports card sales in their debates.
You go first.
I'm with Shannon on this. Skip, I don't want to hear about jerseys. We like cards. Comparing the two is ridiculous. Cards will always be more valuable than memorabilia. You can take the best piece of memorabilia, and I can show you a card that's more valuable than it. As soon as somebody starts bringing up Michael Jordan memorabilia, and then the other guy counters with a sports card, I'm going with Shannon. Talk to me about cards. I don't want to hear about kids' clothing.
That's one take. The other take, which you'll also agree with me here, is that I just don't care about celebrities and television bringing up like any sort of reference towards this benefiting us.
This was the hobby gods punishing us for complaining about hobby contents. They said, you think it's bad now? Okay, take a little Skip and Shannon.
Oh, which aren't those two like regarded as like, you know, one of the more annoying shows in this like hot take world?
I think so. Yeah, and they're both very smart guys, though. You know, so
they're smart in that they know how to make provocative content to get people talking.
Yeah, but look, here, the spirit of this question isn't cool to turn on Fox Sports and guys are talking about Jordan jersey sales, LeBron RPA sales, Mickey Mantle rookie card sales. And yeah, that is cool, but let's just be careful because who knows, you know, where this pivots. I mean, do these just look, I don't want to put stock into it. Just, hey, that's fine. It was a neat little thing that happened. That's cool. If I turn it on next week and they're talking about Top Shot, I won't be totally surprised either, and I'll get pissed off. So, I just want to leave it right there.
You're drawing your lines.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
I haven't heard anyone talk about Top Shot, let alone people on TV.
Yeah. So, speaking of things being hyped and then falling off the map.
Did you call the top on that one? Because you don't like.
I still don't think I did. I'm too much of a wimp to call tops because I just think it's way too hard to do. Timing markets, like, I sure as hell can't do it. And nobody should listen to me. Like, the one football player I collect, I've lost about half the value in him. So listen to me.
Christina, can you set a calendar reminder for 1 year from today? We'll check the indexes of all these quarterbacks.
Sure.
We used to have it on that whiteboard. We need a new whiteboard.
Yeah.
She had one where it was like literally a year, and she like messaged me, "Hey, can you check on this? This customer's account?" I set a reminder for a year, and I was like, "What?"
Wow. Yeah, that's Christina Ash for you.
But
Okay.
that's not a bad thing.
We're
No,
already
it's a great
on.
thing. I love it.
There's a ton of questions, so let's rapid fire some of the stuff. One card, one story says, which NBA players' cards do you think will get the most hype once the season begins? And I have a ready-made answer for this. So
Oh, then go. I don't have one yet.
it's Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is going to be the beneficiary. Anthony Edwards is this year's Ja Morant. He's got all this explosive athleticism, plus he's going to be on a terrific team that would be terrific even without him. Anthony Edwards is going to put up big numbers, just like Ja Morant did last year. Edwards gave us a taste of it in the playoffs. He's a really great player to watch play. He's a number one pick. Athleticism, flashiness, interesting, intriguing personality. He's going to be the media darling this year, assuming that the addition of Gobert makes the Timberwolves like a 50-plus win team, which I think it does. Anthony Edwards. That's the guy who I would watch to be very hyped this season. And I will be coming at him on my stories.
I was going to say, that means you're about to criticize every dribble he makes this entire season. Great.
I'm coming at him. But, hey, he could prove me wrong. But my track record when it comes to Ja Morant was pretty good.
Yeah. You called the top on that, I think, is what you did. The game where you say the first thing that pops into your head? You just answer quick. When you said it, I just thought Zion really quick.
Okay.
I don't really have. It's kind of the same as yours. Like the Pelicans, showed signs of being a really strong team with their first round series against the Suns. They've got a great team around them with McCollum and Ingram. They've got some depth. They've got great defenders. They've got good coaching. And it almost felt like watching that series like, oh, man, if we could just plug Zion into this, that's the thing they need to put him over the edge. So I think there will be a decent amount of Zion hype. And also, there was just so much, investment into him in the card space that people are going to be excited to kind of rehash some of that and get excited over his cards again, which I think Zion would be – hyping Zion is actually one of the few times I'm going to be like, this is good for the hobby. We need Zion. We need Zion in this space to really get people excited. I couldn't think of another one while you're talking. Those are the two. The Anthony Edwards answer to me is better, but the Zion one's kind of fun too.
Yeah, that's enough. I think those two guys.
Enough. Make your little rant about enough. I love that. That's one of my favorite things. Because the whole minimalism thing. Enough is a big piece of that.
Dude, enough is key, man. I'm reading this great book called The Psychology of Money. Funny little story here. Christina and I moved to Dallas not that long ago. We went to a Barnes & Noble for 2 hours, bought a bunch of books.
What's that? What's a bookstore? What is it? Describe to me this.
I saw a physical book about NFTs, by the way. And so while we were in there for about 2 hours picking out books, because we just want to have a nice-looking bookshelf, honestly, and maybe something to reach for once in a while, the catalytic converter on our car was chopped off and stolen while we were inside. So it was a big ordeal. We did get our catalytic converter replaced. It was covered by insurance. This is a real issue across the country, is people stealing catalytic converters. So I hope everybody's catalytic converter is safe. But we made a bit. Okay, but so anyway, one of the books that I got was a book called The Psychology of Money. I'm about 5 or 6 chapters in. It's super easy to read. And one of the passages was about this guy. There was a party thrown at a billionaire's house, and one of the guests was a hedge fund manager. One of the other guests was the author of the book Catch-22. And the hedge fund manager was informed that he made more money in one day than the author of this great book made over the life of the book. And the author of the book said, yeah, you know what? Great for him. He made more money in one day as this hedge fund manager than, I've made over the course of life of my book. But guess what? I have enough. And that's something that I don't think he'll ever have. And then there were some meditations on why enough is an important concept to embrace, because a lot of people eventually do get enough, but then they're unable to say I have enough, and it can lead to, the author goes on to explain, it can lead to people doing greedy, stupid things, like people worth $100 million doing insider trading and taking stock tips because they just have to have $1 billion because $100 million is not enough. So it was a nice passage. I think I've helped that guy sell about 20 or 30 books from people liking the passage, just being like, what book is this? Because it's a good book. Well,
maybe because of you helping him sell those 20 or 30 books, he can now have enough when he goes to a party. Have you ever looked into like the minimalism stuff or like that whole concept?
No.
It's it's a pretty trendy concept. It's mostly about like your physical items around you, like having, getting rid of all your excess crap and sort of, trimming down your life to just but their sort of foundation is about what you just talked about, like having enough in your life where you're not like chasing the next, item in your life for the next bigger upgrade of car and TV and all this stuff. It's like what I have now is enough, right? It's that sort of topic spans across a lot of interesting pieces.
It does. And, I'm like 50% in agreement with the philosophy, and I like it. But the other 50% of me is like, yeah, but if I just start thinking enough, then I start settling, and do I lose the motivation or the edge?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's what is enough, like enough money or enough things, or is it enough accomplishments in your life? Those are different.
True. All right. That's a good distinction. Okay, 90s B-ball card says, what do you consider altering a card? Where is the line? Trimming? Is it coloring? Is it waxing? And Kate's lawyer says, when does cleaning a card become altering a card?
Yeah, this one's tough. I see Lamim is like really fired up about this. I generally feel that like adding chemicals or substances to the card gets really, really close to the line, like, like that wax stuff that I've been using for the slabs. Putting that on the card itself is up against the line. Like, I usually, like a microfiber cloth with like a little bit of water or spit or something is kind of like, is what I feel is fine. But like once you start adding chemicals and substances, I could see where that might be altering. Obviously, like trimming. I don't know. Where do you stand on this? This one's tough.
Dude, this is really tough. And it's worth pointing out that the reason why people don't like this stuff is because it's deceptive and it's motivated by greed. Let's not do that whole rant again, but that's why people hate this stuff. Is because, hey, for people who are cleaning cards or trimming them, or doing things that might be not so popular, they are never telling you that before they sell you the card. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so that's what makes it deceptive and motivated by greed. But I guess the question I have to ask just ties into that. Are you doing something to the card that you would feel comfortable disclosing to the buyer the card that you did it? So am I comfortable saying to somebody, yeah, I use a microfiber cloth to take a fingerprint off this before I send it in for grading? Absolutely. I don't think anybody would object to saying, oh, okay, you put a thumbprint on the card when you pull it from a pack. You put a microfiber cloth to take the thumbprint off. You send it to get graded. Nobody would, bat an eye at that. But if I came back and I said, hey, I did all these chemical solutions to the card, or, I took a little bit off the edge or something, then the person might be like, okay, this card seems a little bit tainted to me. So that's where I would draw the line personally. is like, if I can't disclose what happened to the card to the buyer, then I probably shouldn't be doing it.
You know how like I completely agree. That's the perfect answer, actually. You know how like on the edges of cards sometimes there's like a little like a string, almost like a little fray sticking off, and you just kind of like, is that altering? Like, did I just alter the card by plucking that off?
I don't think anybody would get upset about that.
Well, I always pluck that little thing off before I send it in for grading. Like, let me get rid of that little strand. Let me get my microfiber.
That's a 90s collector right there, man. We used to deal with the strands.
Well, let me ask you this. You pull a card that has a coating on it. You peel the coating off.
Oh, yes.
Is that altering the card because the manufacturers put it in the pack with the coating on?
These are the questions of our day.
Wait, are you a peel or no peel? I always forget.
I don't feel strongly either way, but I think all things being equal, it's better to have the peel.
Boom. Wow, this is good. We can still do the show. That's good news.
Okay, good. All right, next question here. Drake's PC. Oh, man, Drake was sending them in.
Dude, he's got like 5 questions. Just go. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, Drake says, do you prefer the hobby 1 to 2 years ago when everyone seemed happier because everything they bought went up in value and new businesses were coming into the hobby and new people were coming in? Or do you prefer it now when values are more realistic, but people are constantly talking down on somebody who collects something other than them or talking negatively about innovation and so on?
Yeah. I mean, we've been critical of businesses, but I want to be really straightforward about that we are not critical, but like cautionary about jumping into new grading companies and just like assuming that you're going to make money flipping cards to them and that it's going to be a strong business right away. Like, we're not critical of like the entrepreneurship of it, the starting of the business. We're supportive of that. So I wanted to get that out of the way and just get straight to the question. I mean, I just like when prices are cheaper. Like, I just like, because right now I've got more mail days than I had a year ago, so I like now better,
True. Dude, this is such a good question because we can never have it both ways. It seems like we can never quite have the balance.
Yeah.
So it's either everybody's thrilled, stock market is surging, cryptocurrencies are surging, every card that everybody buys goes up in value. Everybody's a genius. Remember when everybody used to be Warren Buffett in this hobby? Everybody's rich, everybody's so amazing, everybody's great. And that gets repulsive.
That's worse, by the way. That you hate. That one's worse.
That's worse. Or we have now mixed outcomes. Some things are shitty, some things are okay. Future's a little more uncertain. It's not so easy to brag anymore about stuff. And you get a mixed bag. You're always, it's kind of like every person has a sort of like a psychological baseline. And like, hey, maybe somebody gets a little bit happy for a little while, or they get a little bit sad for a little while, but at the end of the day, they're going to return back to their baseline. And so like at the end of the day, everybody's returning to their baseline.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have some happy, optimistic people, and you're always going to have some more pessimistic, cynical people. At the end, I think it's better when things are calm and like people are at their baseline.
Yeah. Well, going back to this like enough thing, true happiness is when no matter what's going on around you in this market, you're able to kind of stay steady throughout, stick to what you like, what you know. So like that's why, to me, if everyone else is, up and making money or everything's down, like it's really kind of the same to me. So I'd prefer like the cheaper prices so I could just buy, I could have more mail days. But the freaking like over optimism when the market is up drives me insane. Like the complete lack of humility, the bragging, like I just can't take that stuff.
Yep. Well, there you go, Drake. I think both of us we enjoy the climate now a little bit more. All right, mostly 90s basketball cards says taking high-quality photos of your cards is an underrated hobby skill. What's your method of photography?
What was that chuckle? What was that?
Guilty as charged. What's your method of photography to best show off the card while avoiding slab reflections? Which brings to mind a great meme where it says, when you see yourself in the reflection of your slab. Okay. All right. So, what do you say about this?
Well, didn't I have to say enough is enough like 2 years ago to you? I had to be like, Chris, your saturation levels are ridiculous. I don't remember what I said. I was like,
You said you did, and then the quick fix is just like just get a scanner. You know, if you don't want to mess around with it, just get a scanner.
yeah, on the light one, my only trick that I've learned, I'm not like a photographer, so you guys can probably give better tips than me, but I always put the light behind the card or like off to the back right of it, and it seems I get better results that way. That's the only tip I have. I know like maybe the picture boxes, I know people like those. Have you ever used one of those things?
No, I've seen them used.
Yeah, I've heard those get pretty decent, but I'm with you. I like scanners.
Yeah, scanner's a great way to go. WTF Frankie podcast says he does this for a living, which is true. So
Well,
hit up WTF Frankie podcast for tips.
what's up, Frankie?
I have a tip. Always paint your nails before you take the picture because Josh loves to see fingers in your card pictures.
Just take them next to your toenails. That would be ideal for me.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the worst when you just like got a new mail day, you snap a quick pic to send everybody, and then you're like, ah, shit, my bare foot is in the bottom of this picture. I have to take it over again. That happens to me sometimes. All right. JC2 Collect says, how do you direct someone new to the hobby when there are thousands of base rookie cards for modern players?
This is a really important question.
Yeah, it is. Also, I don't know that there are thousands, but there are definitely a lot.
Yeah, because that's like, I don't know if I can't remember the last person you've like brought into the hobby, but isn't that like one of the first things? Like they get overexcited and they just start sending you eBay listings of like cards where you're like, nope, that's not what you want to be looking at, buddy. That's the bit, that's the base. There's a trillion of those. So what is like the first thing you say to that person?
Oh man, what is? That's so difficult because you don't want to discourage somebody as they're on their journey of discovery.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so tough.
I usually just say like patience and like keep searching and kind of just like watch auctions because like if you just jump into eBay and just kind of look at the first thing you see, it's probably not going to end up being what you love after a couple months. So like have some patience.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess like ideally the person has some familiarity with the hobby from when they were a kid or something like that. Because like let's say they were a kid in the 80s or the 90s, they can go back and consult those early price guides. They can, see that like back then maybe you had at most 15 different brands in a year. I think that might even be high. Maybe there's like 10 to 12 at the most. And, understand the concept that players have different base cards that come from different products. Different products have different tiers. Different products have different legacies. They have different levels of desirability and prestige. They have different levels of print runs. They have different levels of condition sensitivity. And kind of like, if they can connect back and say, oh yeah, I remember there used to be Upper Deck, and then there was SPX, and then there was Ultra, and then there was Fleer. And they can say, yeah, I remember, I like this one, I didn't like this one. Like, that maybe gives a good frame of reference. But I'm really just saying, like, that's how I did it. I reacquainted myself through the hobby, just through 90s cards, and that was a great teacher and a great preparer for the complexity of modern era cards. So, but that's just so tough, man. I don't know if there is a right way to do it, or just let people sort it out for themselves.
Yeah, that was going to be you got to find a way to get them interested in it on their own. You can't just, because if you just go, oh, hey, just buy the, the RPA out of 99, buy the gold prism, that's just giving them a boring checklist where they, they hit it and all of a sudden they're bored. You have to try to get them engaged in it organically on their own, which is tough. It's very tough because, we have our own opinions on what we would do if we were in their shoes.
Yep, that's very true. Okay. C Rhymes 23 says, can we discuss how there are 2 PSA 10 86 Fleer Jordans for sale with golden right now? And like to fill in some context behind this question, there had been sort of, a pattern or a trend of major auction houses only listing one 86 Fleer PSA 10 Jordan at a time. And now Golden has like two separate auctions running, but basically at the same time. I think one's called Elite, maybe one's called Vintage or something like that. But basically, in effect, there are two 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 10s, both at auction, both on Golden, both going to end within, I think, a small window of each other, maybe a day or so. So, what do we think? Is this a vote of confidence from Golden that the 86 Fleer PSA 10 is stabilized at the $200,000 mark? Is this something to cause concern and say, hey, is there just still such a backlog of people trying to sell these that some of the auction houses are finally caving in? What do you think?
That one. Do you remember when that card sold for $720,000?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that auction had two of those cards?
Yep.
So the highest sale ever was when there was two running at the same time.
I remember Gary Vee came on and live and said he knows 300 people personally who would love to be able to spend that much money on one of those.
Well, I mean, those people must be loading the fuck up right now because they're just like having a field day with these $200,000 prices.
Maybe they're all taking turns. Like maybe they're saying, okay, I'm going after it this month, you go after it next month, and the person C will go after it following. Because if there's 300 people that Gary Vee personally knows that would pay $700,000, why is this card transacting it too?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mohammed, the great Mo, says they end a week apart. Thank you, Mo, for that clarity.
Well, there's two LeBron Exquisites on PWCC. They're the same card. They're out of 35. How is that possible? Like, either they've got 5 of those and the people are getting impatient, or they just like didn't care in that sense. I mean, I would rather like ask whoever submitted it second, like, hey, we've already got one. I think it would be better if we run this the next month. The Jordan Fleer, there's 320 of them. I kind of get it. There's probably a decent backlog where they're like, let's see if we can do 2. Now, like you said, they're stable, so let's see if we can do 2. But like as you get to like the more rare stuff, it seems a little ridiculous.
It does. I have a similar story. In the last Golden auction, the day the auction was ending, I asked people like, hey, what are some interesting auctions? And somebody sent one in to me that said the same guy has consigned and is selling both copies of an out of 2 Tom Brady flawless card. One of them is a PSA 10, one is a BGS 9.5. He consigned and is selling both of them and the 1 of 1 all in the same auction all at the same time. So the 1 of 1, the 1 of 2, and the 2 of 2 all running together against each other.
But that was the seller's choice, right? That's what you're saying, the consignor. Yeah,
that was the seller's choice. Right. This is not auction house's choice. This was the seller's choice.
So do you think the reason I ask is I think there might be a little bit of, would it be the consignee? The consignee, like pushing the auction house, like do it or I won't sell it with you. I'll just go to another house. If you don't sell them both at the same time, I'll go somewhere else.
Right. Maybe. There's probably something to that. But we'll see. I mean, so they're ending a week apart, which is different than any of the same time, the same day.
I think they're both going to sell the same. Like in that card's case, I don't think it matters much.
Yeah. And it's interesting that like 200K is sort of, that's the floor. No one's going to let that card go lower than that.
What do you mean no one's going to let it go? Are you implying people are shilling that card, Christopher?
I think the term is defensive bidding, sir.
Okay. Shilling means they don't pay, right? That's the line?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
What's the other line? Something about, hey, if they're willing to pay it and they get shilled and they don't know or something, What they don't know, does it really hurt them? Well,
if that's happening to me on Todd Gurley, too bad for me. I don't. Please don't do it. But
Yeah. Also, this is tongue in cheek. Shilling is fraud and should not be done.
Oh, good. You got my back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got your back big time.
Well, that's the great thing about Todd Gurley, because you know how you know this feeling when there's like 20 seconds left the auction's at price X, and you're about to bid like 2X because you're like, I'm winning this. Fuck, I don't even care. I'm winning 2X, whatever it's at right now. I'm gonna win.
Yep.
And you're like, please, like, don't. And you're like watching it climb, and the last, you're like, stop, like, don't go. But with Gurley, it doesn't climb. It just stops, and I just win. And it's like, I'm the guy who bid just barely over the previous, and I just win.
Which is great, which is how it used to be back in the good old days. But be careful, because on my Le'Veon Bell contenders, 1-of-1 rookie,
Here we go.
I bid like 5x the value of the card, and somebody else did too. And I beat him out by like $7. So.
And then you immediately hit pay for card or, enter credit card, and you just like, let's go.
Dude, yes, because I wanted that card so bad, but like I immediately recognized that like the card went for like $750 to me, and like probably should went for about $300. So,
well,
and like I looked at the bid history, and like people were competitively bidding up to about $300, and all of a sudden there's just two suckers at the end, me and the other guy, who just sniped 700 plus.
Didn't we figure out who it was? Like, I thought I figured out who it was, and was like, hey, this is the guy that.
Yeah, I think we did. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Like, I literally looked at their feedback number and sent you a screenshot. I was like, I know who it is, and it was like a contenders collector. It was like someone who collected random rookies of 1-on-1.
That sounds right. Well, sucks to be that guy because I got the card. All right. Vinny Slabarino. I'm going to compress this one for time.
Oh, damn it.
Vinny Slabarino says, besides financial constraints, do you have any artificial limits on your collection to prevent you from becoming a hoarder? Is it a certain number of cards? Is it space limitation? Is it value? I tried to keep it to one Zion case, thinking that if I buy a card, I would get rid of a card when my Zion case got full. But then I just bought another Zion case when my first one filled up.
That's a true collector. He's like, you know what? I've got room for another one. Like, what is enough? What is enough, Chris? You don't even know.
Is it really enough? I think we have a title, an early contender for a title of this show.
I don't have any constraints. I mean, I'm not a big fan of having like a basement full of cards. Mm-hmm. Waiting for the Christina giggle.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't really have any constraints.
Yeah. You just kind of know it, man. Like, you can try to pre-plan this, and maybe you'll stick to it. But I just kind of when I start getting a sense that there's too many cards that I'm comfortable with, then I just know. And it changes. That's what's so crazy. It's a very different thing now versus what it would have been 2 years ago for me.
But then you can just sell them. That's the beauty of this hobby. You can, if you feel like you got too many, you can always take it back and sell them.
100%. Okay, Triple Threat Sports Card says, with all the hubbub, I think it's the first time hubbub has ever been used in a question.
I think we know what generation this question asker is from.
Okay, well, with all the hubbub and constant barrage of content trying to tell us the best ways to be successful in the hobby, what are some of your things that you like to do to focus on the fun part of the hobby, which is collecting cool-looking cardboard with pictures of our favorite athletes? And hey, we could take this tangent and go into our gambling podcast, fantasy podcast stuff if you wanted to. I think we could. I think this question could get us there.
I'm fucking ready to talk football gambling. I mean, I don't know a lot about football. My knowledge is very, very limited in football.
Very limited.
So I'm just having to listen to gambling podcasts just to sound like I know what I'm talking about. I can't even name players anymore, so I'm struggling.
Sir, you collect Todd Gurley. Your football knowledge is very limited.
You know that he doesn't play anymore, right? You know that he's hurt? Do you know this?
Are you just lighting money on fire? You don't know anything. Okay?
I didn't even know he wasn't playing. I thought he was like the best back in the league.
Do you even play fantasy? Because I don't think you do.
What was the question?
The question was, given all the content that's out there, how do you just stay focused on having fun in the hobby?
I mean, you and I have been doing it. We pivot to different players and player collect something else. Just change our focus and try to have fun.
Yeah. Yep. It is harder to have fun, I think, with the noise amplification on social media. I think like the golden era is over. The corporate era is now. It's tough. So
No, it's not. You just mute people.
Group chats.
Yeah.
You know, talking to people and like finding pages to admire, and you know, man, turning off if content like pisses you off. I turn it off. I just do. I move on from it. I've removed almost every hobby podcast from my podcast feed because it got to be too much. It just wasn't the content I was looking for. I made a nice hard pivot into sports podcasts of my favorite teams, or the teams that have my favorite players on them, and fantasy sports podcasts, which give like really nice insights into players. And like if you really like a player and they're good at fantasy, those podcasts will make you feel great. And then also gambling podcasts, because
let's go into that.
Love the way those guys break down sports.
Let's go into the gambling, because I brought it up to you today that I've been listening to that, and it's such great content.
Dude, it is. Speak on it, man.
Well, it's just like the biggest, you articulated it better, so I'll let you do that next. But like the biggest thing is that the people creating that content have real money on the line, and it's a very black and white, like, you better create good content or no, like you better know what the fuck you're talking about and make good picks and like have data to back it up. You better have done your research or people won't listen to you. It's very simple. If you suck and you don't know what you're talking about, I ain't listening to you. If you know what you're talking about and I'm winning bets each week and, you know, your stuff makes sense and I'm able to, check it against like facts, then it's going to be good. And the quality of like the Ringer podcast for gambling is so good. It's just like amazing. They're getting into, I told you today, they're talking about like backup offensive linemen. I was like, hell yes. I know that the left tackle of a given team is sitting out today, therefore their running game is going to suffer. They're going to have to throw more. Like it just starts getting into, the overs on passing yards or receiving yards for a receiver because their left tackle's hurt and they throw to the stuff like that, where it's like, holy shit, like that makes sense. And to get an edge in gambling, you're talking about like 5-10 yards. That's the difference, right? Winning the bet and losing is so small. Like these razor thin margins, you got to start looking for these tiny edges.
So true. Oh man, you nailed it. You got my gambling juices flowing just hearing you talk about it. And I can't gamble in Texas, but if I could, I would pick the Panthers to upset the Giants this weekend. The Panthers are 2-point dogs. I heard my man Bill Simmons pumping up the Panthers at the end of his podcast today. Panthers got the Giants, and then I got the Steelers over the Patriots. People are still giving the Patriots a ton of respect. The Steelers just went to overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the top 4 teams last year. It's Mitch Trubisky season. Few people know that Mitch actually was a top 5 QBR in 2018, leading the Bears to a 13-3 season. Steelers, Panthers, and this will determine if my gambling podcast continues or if I go 0-2.
I just wish that the Panthers had played the Giants last week because I have Saquon Barkley and you have McCaffrey. That would have been even more entertaining.
I'm glad they didn't because Saquon went all the way off last week. He's such a beast.
I got the Saquon thing from podcasts. Like, I never had Saquon on any of my radars, but I listened to a couple podcasts. They're called Underdog Fantasy.
Okay.
And those guys were talking up Saquon so much. And it's not just that, like, I followed the hype train of Saquon Barkley because these guys said to do it. They had actual, like, decent reasoning, data. Coach Dayball, their new coach, was going to focus on the run game. He wasn't going to split carries. They had reports from beat writers at training camp that the offense was centered around Barkley. I had all these reasons. He was 2 years removed from a major injury. This is usually when you see the recovery in football. Man, I'm just dropping football knowledge. I thought, what is this happening? I thought I didn't even know football. And it was also just like, with fantasy football, you're kind of going for the home runs, right? You're going for like, I need this guy to either be top 5 or I need him to be just like, or he's just going to be hurt. Like one of those two cases. So I might as well go for it all because I'm not trying to get middle of the pack. I'm trying to win. So that's kind of like the Christian McCaffrey and the Barkley argument was like those two guys could easily finish top 2 in running backs, but also they could both get hurt because they have been getting hurt.
So true. So true. One of the guys who I like to listen to, and like I'm not super deep into the gambling content world, but like this guy always impresses me. Is I like Warren Sharp. He's selling a product, which is like okay, but he's such a nerd, and he's such a just like takes such a nerdy approach. I love it. This guy publishes like a 500-page book based on all of his research during the off season before the season begins. Like, dude, you have to respect that. Okay, so was it you who sent me this card?
Oh my god, dude. What a fucking awesome card.
That card, it just ended at auction like a day or two ago.
$4,000, dude.
Yeah. Yep, $4,000. I mean, dude, that card is so nasty.
Dude, I got so tempted because he had just, won me my week. He obviously had a monster week. The auction ended after the game, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm such a sucker. I'm about to fucking bid on this card.
Dude, let's fucking go.
But it was like, who cares, man? I did not win. I was nowhere near winning, but man, what a sweet card. And that's kind of another piece of the hobby, which is fun. Is like, dude, who cares? Let's just bid on this card. I know that I'm going to lose money. This is the peak of, the excitement around him right now is week 1. They won. He had a huge game, but fuck it. Let's go.
Well, yeah, that card is sick. Full disclosure, I have the McCaffrey equivalent. And it doesn't look as cool as that one, though. I love that pose. What an iconic pose.
Plus the superfractor look where it's actually a 1-1 for optic. It just gives you that little extra juice.
Dude, optic gold vinyls are so sick. And you know what? It seems like they still go for collector prices because we had 3 Herbert sales in the last 2 weeks. NT Platinum Shield 1 of 1 went for 1.8. Black Prism went for 1.1. Optical Vinyl went for $50,000.
Dude, no, you're fucking with me.
No, I am not, buddy.
The Herbert 1 of 1 optic vinyl went for $50,000.
In Golden's last auction.
What? And the Barkley went for 4?
The Barkley went for 4, yeah.
That's crazy. What? Because oh my gosh, that's a sick card. Look at it. It's like a better photo than the other ones.
Dude, they really pop, man.
Dude, it's even got the
optic rated rookies.
I do too.
God, they really pop. That went
Diff
for $50,000, dude.
Diff says he has a Saquon Barkley gold rookie auto optic.
He has one?
What he says in the chat, he says
He probably does. Yeah.
Saquon seems like, dude, let's talk about that. He's been posting some awesome skill position like shield cards. What the fuck, man?
Dude, he found his lane, man. All of a sudden.
He has the gold, not the vinyl.
Okay.
That's what he said. He said gold in the chat, yeah.
Should we pull up the stiff?
Yes.
Let's creep.
Let's go. Stiff Arm Wax has found a lane in these patches.
Dude, look at that card. It's fucking sick.
Dude, it is sick. That's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift.
In front of a cornfield.
Dude, is that the fucking Field of Dreams in the background?
That's a fucking cornfield in the background.
Let's go. He's just found a lane for these. The top one is a 1 of 1 NT of Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry. And the bottom one is Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, both from the same set, both 1 of 1s.
What a unique thing where it's like the offensive skill position teams. That's cool.
Yeah, dude. Then he took this one from Dallas. You can see the AC in the background, and it's of the 3 Dallas quarterbacks of the last quarter century: Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, and Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Speaking of guys who just prices are so much lower than their modern contemporaries. Joe Montana, cool set, 2000 Donruss. Here he's got Peyton, Brady, and Rogers. He loves those. You can sell him those if you.
Yeah, see, this is the case. This is the case we were talking about earlier. Like, how would you have helped Nick get to this point? You couldn't really,
No.
right? Like Nick, he just sort of like found this lane on his own, right?
He totally found this lane on his own, and then he brought a few patch cards with to Dallas, and he had them all spread out. But yeah, like he completely found this patch lane on his own. Like I wouldn't. This wouldn't even be like the fifth alternative lane that I would think to go down hobby-wise. But now once I see him going down it, it's made me think about patch cards differently and have a different respect for them and see how cool it is to collect them.
Because he's like, it's different when you see those cards just randomly throughout card shows or on eBay, but when you see someone actually like cultivate it and make it more personal and they focus on it, then it like starts to make sense of why it's cool, right? Like you see it in that sort of consistent format. Let me know when you get that card, Stiff, in the mail.
100%, man. Okay. Drake's PC says, growing up, rookie cards were the most desired. But time has passed, rare inserts and parallels have risen to prominence. Do you see non-rookie cards of proven Hall of Fame players, such as like a 7th-year Prism Gold or a 3rd-year Gold Refractor? Do you see those continuing to have a place in the hobby over the long term, or do you think there will be a gravitation back to rookie cards? Many of these cards were ignored for years and only recently became valued in the hobby.
Oh shit, he did get it in the mail. Awesome. Is it awesome? Man, I kind of feel like you and I played a very small role in like guiding people not away from rookie cards, but like opening up eyes towards like these non-rookies, because for us, we're really mostly looking at like the rarity and the aesthetics. Like we didn't necessarily, like the rookie's cool. We'd rather have the rookie. But like if we're going to open it up and buy a bunch of cool cards, you know, we might as well look at 20 years of cards versus just one.
Totally.
In some cases. So like I hope this continues because I think it's great because, you know, in the total world of cards, it's just way too restrictive to look at only 1 year of cards when, you know, there's gold prisms that are non-rookies that are awesome. Like they might have better photos because a lot of the rookie photos are photo shoots and stuff, and a lot of stuff isn't game worn, and they're able to accumulate, you know, game worn patches after their rookie year. They're able to get better photography. Like there's all these reasons that, to me, if you're talking just about like the collecting aspect and the purest sort of having fun collecting, you got to look at all the years. I hope it continues.
Yeah, totally agree. Maybe there is a point though where like the pendulum swings too far.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that.
Are we there? Are we there?
Maybe I think something made Drake write this post. You know,
like you're saying, we should stick to the norms at a certain point.
Yeah, just sometimes I know I take a brand simping too far. You know, I can take it too far where I just want, you know, I'm just focusing only on Prism and I'm not looking at some of the other really good brands. Like sometimes the brand simping can get out of hand. So that can happen. And
like would you rather have a 1 of 1 of like the 5th best brand or a, you know, gold Prism?
Right now I'm so far in the I'd rather have the gold Prism world. But like a year or two ago, yeah, I know, but a year or two ago.
What are you fucking deleting this app right now? What the fuck?
I mean, dude, I'm trying to get all the Jokic black Prisms right now because I know where they all are. And I'm just so far in this Prism simp land that I know that the pendulum has swung too far.
Did you like that, like, genuine, like, what the fuck? I was, like, waiting for you to be like, I'm so far in this 101, I don't give a shit what brand world.
and you know, it's so dumb, too, because, like, I can tell myself the story of why both paths make sense.
Yeah.
So,
you're like the king of posting like a one of one like paper card that I've never even. I'm like, what is that? And you're like, that's a one of one. I'm like, is it? I guess it is.
Yeah.
Like threads or something.
Yes, exactly. I like to do a little bit of both, I guess, but I don't know. Like, I think brand dilution has definitely been something that's crept into my mind over the last year to 2 years. So many brands, and then with the Fanatics thing, you start thinking about which ones really stand the test of time and so on.
Yeah.
You get
Well, that's why I really enjoyed when you talked about that NBA City Luka, where you're like, yeah, it's not like a top brand, but I, looked at Cardboard Connection, and this is the only one of one that they have in this whole set. So that you get to the point where you're like, how many one of ones did this brand make? And if it's just one, that kind of, if it's actually literally is a one of one, then that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, 3Co LA says, do you guys have any updated thoughts on vintage basketball? Is it a simpler way to collect because there are fewer products?
Well, like I've been kind of hard on vintage lately because it's just been so hyped.
Yeah.
Like whenever something gets hyped, it's literally the same exact thing as you with Anthony Edwards this year. Like if everyone's going to be hyping them, then it's my duty to be more critical, and that's kind of how we've treated vintage. But when I started looking at this quarterback stuff, the thought came into my head of like, not only are people paying more for the modern player, but also like the fact that those modern guys have more cards to choose from is kind of interesting. Like the print on a vintage rookie card is much, much higher than like, obviously like a gold prism or like a shield and stuff. But in the totality of it, if they only have, 10,000 Wilt Chamberlain rookies and there's like 500 million Herbert rookies and 50 brands, like where is that sort of line drawn of like the vintage is actually rare? You know what I mean? It's kind of an interesting thought.
It's a super interesting thought. There's never been more products and more gem mint grades of products than right now. And it gets complicated and it gets, it's really hard, man. It takes a lot. It takes both a leap of faith and a lot of knowledge to like know what you're doing collecting modern cards. It's a lot.
Do you remember when we talked about the Julius Erving Pop 1 rookie card?
I think so. Julius Erving, yeah.
Okay, so his rookie card is a Pop 1.
Yep.
PSA 10, sorry. His PSA 10 is a Pop 1. And to me, it just stood out as like, oh my God, he has one rookie card, and he has one PSA 10. It was probably Zion or whoever. Like we were like, and Zion has like 500 million, cards and like a ton of one-on-ones and a bunch of PSA 10s. And it's just like Julius Erving is this like Hall of Fame guy, and he actually has like a super duper rare rookie card that's market cap is like an exponential fraction of Zion Williamson, and that it's kind of a similar thing as this quarterback, but that always fascinated me too.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like his shield, right? Like that's Julius Erving's fucking shield rookie. If you want to break it down,
it is, man. It definitely puts vintage cards in a different light when there's just one rookie card you have to focus on, or a few. Definitely makes it interesting.
The counter to that is like it just that doesn't really interest us as much.
Yeah. Yep. That is the counter.
Yeah. The aesthetics aren't quite there for us. The sort of chase aspect of like getting their top 10 rookies is not there. So it's different.
Yeah, it is different. It's definitely different. And like a point that just comes to me now that I wish I would have made earlier in the football context, but still, is like breakers play such a huge role in teaching the community through reels and through people buying spots in their breaks, like what the biggest chase cards are, because this hobby viral content gets manufactured around pulling an NT Shield 1 of 1, pulling a flawless logo in. Like, breakers contribute an enormous amount to like the hobby community's perception of what the biggest and the best chase cards are, and like where they rank on the hierarchy. And we don't have that content engine for 90s cards or for vintage cards to be constantly like reminding us of this hierarchy and like what the best cards are and which ones make people get the most excited.
Do they do a good enough job of laying out that hierarchy, or are you saying they should do better at it, or what they say is what is
all I'm saying is that that's a huge contributing factor, I think, to like why we get prices that are out of whack for Zion and for Herbert and guys like that is because like we are able to know from breakers in particular that like the NT Shield is the end all be all.
Yeah.
Whereas like we don't have breakers making videos and getting hundreds or tens of thousands of views pulling Kareem or Kareem's Pop 2 or whatever rookie, or Dr. J's Pop 1 rookie. Like, we don't have that content engine telling us that like this is a very important card. Whereas like we do have it for modern products. We have people constantly telling us like this is a very good, very important card.
What percentage of people involved in the hobby are involved in breaking?
What do you think?
No, I don't. I have no clue. That's why I'm asking. I'm legitimately asking you.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's fuck. I don't know. I'm just not privy to that world very much.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Like, are you and I like missing out on a huge segment of the hobby, and we're not able to properly give like the full opinion because we're not involved in breaking, or is it a small enough percentage where we're fine? You know what I mean?
It's a good question. I don't know. It's not a trivial percentage. I could see it being anywhere from like 20 to 50%. I don't know. It's just so hard to know.
If it was like 70, I'd be like, we have to know more about this.
It's not that high.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I was getting. Like, is it 20 or is it 80? Right? Is it like some extreme? And if you're saying it's probably closer to 15 under.
Yep. Yep. It's tough to know that, but
I'm not saying that I'm missing out. Like, I still am not interested in it, but like in terms of formulating opinions on even just like this quarterback debate, or if there's like this big elephant in the room of something we're missing with breaking, then I'd like to at least be more educated.
Yeah. Well, like I think about this new metal product.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. And everything I know about this product comes from breakers making content about it and posting it to Instagram.
Yeah.
And so like because of them, I know what the hits are, I know what the inserts are, I know what cards are people are most excited for. And I do not go out of my way to find that content at all. Like I just follow a handful of breakers and like I see their content. And like they're obviously promoting this product. They want to sell this product. Yeah. And I'm learning through that who the people are in it, what the cards look like and stuff. And like before we like dive too much into this, like Josh, I remember when you had Gene Arena on Cardboard Chronicles many years ago now, it feels like. And she was the designing force behind this. And like this is something that a lot of us waited to come to fruition ever since she appeared on your channel. So it's pretty cool to see like an arena design product back in the hobby.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I'm really like excited for her and Gene. So like, I think it's cool. I mean, it's obviously like we don't collect the non-licensed stuff. Like we're not big into the, non-NBA, non-NFL licensed products.
Yep.
But just like aesthetically, I think they look cool, and I think it's a cool accomplishment for Gene and Earl. So it's cool.
It is cool. So like,
I think a lot of them look cool.
here's one of the chases is the new PMGs. Jordan is depicted here not in a Bulls uniform or in a North Carolina uniform. But what is cool is the uniform that he's wearing is from a charity game that he did with Scottie Pippen for Scottie Pippen's charity in like 93 or 94. So like that made the card much cooler to me than if it was just an airbrushed jersey. It's like, no, they didn't airbrush a jersey. They went and got a picture of Jordan from his playing days, or from his retirement period, but in between his playing years, where this is from a real game. This isn't airbrushed. This is like an actual jersey that he wore, which makes it slightly cooler to me. Than I thought that was clever. I thought that was more clever by far than using an airbrush
shorts, or just like shorts and t-shirt kind of thing.
Exactly. And then South requested if we could look at the back edges.
I mean, that's just like true to the PMG brand, isn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a real PMG if the condition of the card wasn't shit coming out of the pack.
Well, I thought the front of it was like it held true to sort of the PMG vibe, but it had some like modern flair to it. I thought it looked neat. There's some of them that I didn't like. To be completely honest, I didn't think the jambalaya looked all that great, but some of them do look good. That's just sort of like the taste of each individual has their own taste of whether they like the cards or not.
Yep, totally agree. I haven't looked at all of them fully, but they are unmistakably arena designs, and they just look pretty sharp. We don't.
I think it looks neat. Like the space sort of vibe to it is neat.
It is neat, and this is cool because you got a green theme going on from the shirt backwards, and I wonder if there's something unique to the uniform that's worn in this one too, or maybe not. Maybe it's just random, but it's the unmistakable arena design. And there's just the look of the logo, and this, and the fonts that they use, and just the design elements. It's just something that we don't see, but that is unmistakably arena design, which I like. They put their stamp.
I like this particular card a lot. I'm just not going to be buying it right now because I know how new product works and it's going to be way overpriced.
Amit says LeBron wore that at Kmart.
Someone said pajamas. I mean, man, I need to up my pajama game apparently.
Dude, pajamas is the height of my wardrobe.
No comment. I said no comment.
Pajamas is getting dressed up. Here's the jambalaya for Jordan.
Yeah, I don't love this one, but
I like it. Look, I wouldn't want it to just be a replica of what jambalaya looked like previously.
why is the centering so bad? Why can't they get the centering good? It's 2022.
Yeah.
I like the photo on that one.
You know what else though is instructive about this? I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say most people are critical of this product.
Dude, I'm so critical.
And hello, this is how people reply to anything new in the hobby, with very few exceptions. They fucking hate it. And they will give you a laundry list of reasons for why they hate it. And I think that's good perspective. Because the vintage cards that we love, or the 90s cards that we love, especially 90s cards, I have Beckett magazines to prove this, people hated them.
Really?
Passionately hated them. People hated refractors. There are some of the funniest letters to the editor from Beckett magazines that I've read within the last 5 years of just refractors. These are going to ruin the hobby.
That's such a great take.
Yeah. So
Like you'd basically be worried if people weren't critical of this. Like,
I don't know, maybe.
You know what?
I think it's almost always good to be in the minority opinion in this hobby, though.
I've heard some people with really horrible takes on why they don't like this, and I am happy to disagree with them and their stupid.
I wish
takes.
you could see Christina right now. She's got her feet kicked up on the desk. She's just leaning back, not even looking anywhere, just gazing off, firing
I'm
off takes.
fucking working, bud.
She's just firing off takes. But look, my point is, even if our design idols and nobody who like collects 90s stuff thinks it looks bad, people freaking love it. If like the geniuses behind that product put something out and like people are universally dogging it, like that just shows that's par for the course. That's how this hobby rolls, man.
I mean, you're so right. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, God, you guys hate everything, and I'm like, yeah, you do. We all hate everything, me included. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I can show like.
Like we don't even give like new companies a chance, right? Like people just start dumping all over it like immediately.
Yeah, I think that's justified though. Okay, this is the cut above, which like people hate this because, you know, cut above is supposed to have saw blades.
Spikes.
Says who? That's my response. Says who? Arena Design was the first one to make a cut above. That was their original design. Now Arena Design has made a new cut above. And you're going to tell Arena Design what a cut above, which they invented, is supposed to have. Like, how fucking ignorant are you?
Okay, take it down a notch. This hobby has a lot of Warren Buffetts in it, and otherwise people who know everything.
How much are these cards selling for?
Let's see if we got any sold results. Okay, the Jordan cut above went for $300. The LeBron did about $130 with shipping from Canada. Here's one for $150 from Canada. So I don't know, a few $100 right now, I guess.
What was the the boxes or the cases or whatever?
Well, this is where I get on my high horse. These boxes are like $1,000 a pop.
Yeah.
You know, like I would have been happy to mess around and buy a few of them.
Retail?
I think they're only hobby boxes, and I think for $1,000. These boxes are retailing for $850 to $1,200, $700. I would have loved to get a few of these boxes at $150. Like South said, $130, $130 card, because that may have been your best hit out of the box. I mean, yeah, you're getting killed. But I would have loved to be able to open these boxes like $150 and buy 5 of them or something. But like at a grand a box, it's just like I can't even have fun. It'll be a stressful rip.
That's just like par for the course, right? Isn't that how all wax is today?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem. There's a lot of markup that happens between manufacturer to final customer, and that's an issue.
Are there any autos in this? Are there any autographs?
There are some. They're really tough to pull. Now, somebody mentioned in the chat, don't forget about Tiger Woods. And the thesis behind the Tiger Woods cards in this product is that these are his first pack-issued PMGs. He has the purple PMGs, but those were like employee exclusives. So like these are Tiger's first, like I guess like Tiger Woods cards have more of like a licensing based legitimacy than Gretzky or Jordan or LeBron.
I think the PMGs look a hell of a lot better than those stupid. You know which ones I'm talking about, like the 2006 ones or whatever.
The Skybox ones from 2008, the chip.
Yeah, the ones that like chip like a motherfucker and they have no shine to them.
Yeah.
These look a hell of a lot better than those.
Well, here, let's take a look at the. I mean, I think the Tiger Red actually looks pretty cool because he's got the reddish shirt on.
We can't see it.
I'm trying to make the picture blow up, but it fucking
That's cool.
does
I don't
dirty.
think that's what you think it is.
What do I think it is?
You think that that's from this new set.
Oh, and it's not?
I don't believe it is.
Okay, let me see if I can actually find the right one.
Isn't the yellow? Yeah, look, it's different.
It is different.
That's the right one. 2021 Skybox Metal.
That's,
It looks different though, like the
No.
Precious Metal Gems logo and
yeah,
stuff.
that's
Like they
not
look
the
different.
same thing.
This one,
That's
it's like the
real
same
one.
pose. Very similar pose. Yeah, this is what they look like right now. Yeah, good call.
That looks badass.
Yeah, this is the orange out of 100. Just make it gold.
That's orange?
That's orange. That's the orange parallel. Okay, here we go. Damn, they sure do look similar though. Okay, here's what we want. This is the true 2021 PMG Red Tiger. Looks pretty cool.
People in the chat are saying that they made two of them. This one and then the retro one, which is the one you showed before.
Oh, well, that would explain that.
I like that new one. I like the new one.
Yeah, I fucking like this one. Fuck.
I think it looks too plain compared to the other one, though.
How dare you?
Go to the other one again, the newer design one. God, I feel like an asshole. That's like, I actually like these. You know, everyone's like criticizing them. I like those ones right there.
Yeah, I like that one.
I like that one. I think it's really cool. Like, I like all the boxes and the.
Well, like, is it a bad photo? Like, is there like etching in it, like there was in the original PMPs in this retro? Like, is that what? Like, is it not actually flat like it looks?
I doubt it, just because I don't know if that tech even is around right now.
Those are out of 150. The oranges are out of 100, and the greens are out of 10.
Yeah, and there's a few others as well.
Ugh, of course.
Hold on, I was just looking at the checklist the other day. The Tiger's cool, man. The Tiger has a neat story behind it. For sure.
Are there like random current athletes in those sets too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Football.
Josh Giddey, I know, has cards in these.
What?
Yeah.
That'd probably be the hardest part for me is like the randomness of the checklist, because it's like when it's a basketball product, it's like I know all the basketball players now. It's like Tiger and LeBron and Hulk Hogan. And it's like ugh.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a video. Thank you, South, for the tip.
There you go.
This is the Mac Jones PMG Green.
Okay, yeah, it isn't flat.
That looks cool.
I mean, this is arena design, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it looks sick, to be honest.
That one looks really good. I like how it's I just like how the light is catching the green on that one.
A little bit.
Oh, look, it's number
different.
6. It's number 6 for Josh.
Mac Jones is fucking garbage this weekend because I bet the under. I bet the under on the Patriots.
That he has his helmet off because you rarely see football cards with their player's helmet off. So I don't know, it threw me.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying.
Who did I compare Mac Jones to?
You
Like
compare
Joe
Mac
Flacco.
Jones to
Flacco.
who? Flacco? Dude, Flacco's another tough one to wrap your mind around because the guy had that invincible Super Bowl run. And it's like, if somebody did that today, people would be absolutely having to change their underwear.
If Mac Jones, and I even made the comparison of like the Ravens and the Patriots, kind of the system quarterback thing, and like immobile, but they happen to win a Super Bowl. Like, people would lose their fucking minds if Mac Jones won the Super Bowl this year.
True.
Dude, now, yeah, you're right. Now that I'm gambling, my takes are going to be much stronger. Like, trash. Hit the under, bitch.
Oh, boy. Trevor Lawrence has cards in here. I think South Park is buying up all those.
What's his take on, like, Lawrence being what? I mean, I get it. His numbers are, like, not good. Why can't he be better this year?
I mean, we have to wait and see.
I just really, the reason I'm asking is, like, his like stature, his form, like, he has all the tools to be able to do it. Just gotta put it together. Whereas, like, Trey Lance, the guy's, like, lucky if he throws 55% completion percentage. The guy can't hit a fucking broadside of a barn. I'm worried about Trey Lance. Mac Jones, when has he ever been like this elite, strong arm quarterback? He's, like, very limited in his abilities. Trevor Lawrence has everything.
Yeah. South says, my take is Trevor Lawrence is a bust, even if he's good. Let's go.
There it is. See, your true colors come out. You just, like, want the guy to fail.
Because he will not be what he was advertised to be.
Dude,
let's go, South.
Bring fucking Trevor Lawrence.
Let's go, South.
Skip hates Trevor Lawrence. He says he's Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen is fucking garbage.
Let's fucking go, South. Keep it coming, buddy. All right, so I don't really totally understand this product breakdown here, but apparently there's base precious metal gems and metallized precious metal gems. Maybe that's like the retro. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just going to stop speculating.
Purple is the 101.
Yeah, you got a purple 101, green out of 10, blue out of 25, pink out of 75, orange out of 100, red out of 150.
Who was in a meeting and decided not to make gold the 101?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Purple, I guess, like some sort of, like, Titanic-ass bitch necklace thing, the fucking purple gem. You know what I'm talking about? Like the Hope Diamond or whatever?
The Hope Diamond is blue.
Well, it's like a royal blue.
No, it was like a pale blue.
It's like a purple blue.
Let's see if we can push through a few more questions here.
she's going for the old price, the personal attacks. Smart.
All right.
You don't know shit about football, you bitch.
Bruin Killer says, what are you most looking forward to at the upcoming industry summits? Announcements.
Oh, I know. Awards. Let's go.
I'm actually speaking.
Oh, and Christina's on a panel with a very unexpected a woman on the hobby panel. But
Stop.
Okay. All right. Hot Sauce Sports Card says, is there a sector of this hobby that is still living in the Ice Age, or have we modernized every aspect of it? I like how much thought you're putting into this. This is good.
Because nothing's come to my mind yet. Nothing. Literally nothing.
And if it was, we wouldn't be telling you.
There's another question like this, too.
Like, my football knowledge and my knowledge of the answer to this question are the same. None.
Dude, do you even know this hobby, bro?
What do you got, bro? Smart guy?
I have nothing, man.
The Ice Age, something that's like we should fix that's not fixed?
Yeah, or just something that's just like way in the past. Something very antiquated that needs to be updated.
I mean, didn't Ruben say like the whole hobby was like that?
It's a brutal experience.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's all been upgraded pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's just so horrible, this hobby. Why are we even in it?
Damn, where is this question? Oh, here it is. Intergalactic Card Chaser. Woo.
Ooh.
Says,
fancy.
What is the next big thing or innovation in the hobby? And you know how we like to answer this question. Nice try. Want us to give you our bazillion-dollar business ideas, but it's
Well, here it is. I got one.
All right.
It's going to be, listen very carefully. Here, step one is that you're going to want to, and then you'll definitely profit from that.
Dude, when we talked about that the other day, thought that was a big-time idea. That is, I can't believe you just gave that to everybody, but that's how generous you are in this hobby.
Do you remember the episode of Office where Jim and Pam are on their honeymoon and they're like calling them frantically, trying to get them to help with something? And then Jim is like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to want to. He's like, pyramids in Egypt. And he's like, just saying random shit. And then you'll be saved. And he's like, Jim, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I do remember that. Okay. Let's get to some of the more fun questions. SGC Esports 922 says, what is your worst card take? I'm not sure if this is directed at both of us, but what is your worst card take? And why is it that that sticker autos are terrible, but player worn is okay?
I knew that was coming. I could like sense, because people are like, we've been on this thing that we don't mind the player worn, but sticker. It's just the aesthetics of it. Like the aesthetic of a player worn and a game worn are the same, and a sticker to on card is not.
Totally agree. And why are you guys so excited about putting on or having used clothing in your cards? Why are you so excited about that?
Dude, it's all about that jockstrap game.
Bro, if you guys are into that stuff, let me tell you about an investment opportunity on Collectible, which Collectible is a great company. Collectible has available Andre the Giant's jockstrap. And it might seem like, whoa, Andre the Giant's jockstrap, that's going to have a lot of shares. It's not as many as you think. It's been fractionalized. You can own a piece of the truest piece of memorabilia to ever be peeled off of a sweaty man competing at a sport.
That sounds so gross.
This is what I think about when I think about memorabilia. So, and like while I'm on it, I'll just say one other thing about this. Dude, I'm so sick of the memorabilia crowd trying to latch on to cards because card collectors are the best demographic in the sports market, period. And constantly trying to frame. Look, we've seen this happen time and time again, whether it was NFTs, whether it was Top Shot, whether it was ticket stubs. You know, it's the same characters who are up to the same pump game. They secretly hate cards. They secretly resent cards. They were late to the card party, and they're pissed about it because their main thing they care about is making money. They don't care about collecting it. They don't care about us as a community or as collectors. They want to make a quick buck by getting us to buy into the next wave. And the wave that's being pumped right now is memorabilia. It's happening right now. Shoes with poop stains on them from when the player walked in the mud outside. It's also, used clothing from games. Like, dude, this is a key point. Memorabilia collecting has a place. It's similar to collecting a gun from the Civil War or, a map from World War II. These are items that have a place in history, and there's a place for this stuff. But thinking that these things have properties that line up with the logic of collecting that sports cards have is a grave mistake. Sports cards have all sorts of systematic relationships. To give one example, grading tiers, 10s, 9s, 8 5s, 8s. When you see a 10, it helps you to price a 9. When you see a 9, it helps you to price a 10. You get lots of comps that roll in of this stuff. If it's a rare card, you still have readily available comparables to determine in a reasonable, logical fashion pricing. You have the constant hype cycle of new products coming out and them being marketed and promoted and familiarity with it. Trading cards is like the ultimate game. And the methods and the logic of it has been refined over decades and decades and decades. These are not historical artifacts. This is a very sophisticated game that's a lot of fun to play once you learn how to do it. Memorabilia is not that. It doesn't have these content cycles. It doesn't have new product releases. It doesn't have the logic of sets and tiers and hierarchies. You're collecting a cannon from the Revolutionary War. You are not collecting something that has the properties of something like sports cards. So, rant over, done.
I'm going to make a little fun example for you that's going to help your case.
Okay.
If you owned that $10 million Michael Jordan jersey and you had it hanging up in your, your stupid bowling alley in your basement or some shit, your rich
You know about that bowling alley? Oh, shit.
You're in your yacht and you're showing your friends and they're like, cool. You would have to then explain to them why it's so fancy. You'd be like, well, he wore that in the, that's a game-worn Michael Jordan. Oh, okay. I thought maybe you just bought that at Walmart. I wouldn't have been able to tell it. I don't know. It just looks like a jersey. But if you showed them the Justin Herbert Shield Auto versus like a base Prism, there's a huge like, oh wow, that one looks way cooler than that one. Like the aesthetics, the difference, right? This is why the sticker and the on card is different, because this one looks nicer.
Sure, I like that. We can roll with that.
And also, you know how people are like, on card is cool because the player touched it. I never cared about that. It just looks better.
Totally. Nailed.
He touched the sticker too, didn't he? He touched the sticker that got stuck on the card.
Yep. Nailed it. Okay. But thank you for writing in, SGC Sports. We love you. We do. You're a great hobbyist.
Other than like Chris's, really awesome rant.
Yes, you brought out a great rant. Okay. Bobby J. Hobby. I was either going to put this at the beginning or the end, and I decided to put this at the end. Bobby J. Hobby says, can we have more card nerd stuff and less investor debates? Sorry.
Welcome to Crossover.
Usually we do have more card nerd stuff, but sometimes we talk market, man. Like there is a market here that is neat to talk about, but I hear you. Every once in a while we'll get like a group of comments like that. Like, okay, guys, but please go back to talking about 1993 Topps Black Gold Chris Webber's. And like,
was this an investor week? What was the investor part of it that we're talking about that was this week?
Well, this would probably be in response to last week. I don't know. Maybe just like this, a lot of talk about pricing, I think. I don't know.
Gotcha.
All right. PN Holt 80 says, let's discuss the sudden focus on robot grading. This is all Lameme driven. There's like, I guess if Lameme says it, it's just.
Well, it's fairly disruptive.
It's disruptive.
What was Lameme so fired up about? I missed that one.
There was some ad or promotion that was like, robot grading is great, and Lameme is always thinking about others, and he's like, what about all these human graders who are going to lose their jobs? And you know what? I am with him. All right, I am with him.
I want the human grader, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Okay, this is going to sound really dumb, but you're going to have to explain this to me. Maybe Christina does. What was that whole lemons thing? I literally have no idea what that is.
Let me
like
just
some dog or something?
Let me just really cut to the chase on this one here because we have more questions to get to. Lemons, someone blamed, basically someone like couldn't pay for a card because their cat Lemons got sick and had to go to the hospital or something like that, basically. All right, that was an eBay message.
It was they couldn't pay for an auction they won that they bid on twice because their cat had emphysema and they accidentally bid on the card twice while looking up like cures for cat cancer or something like that. Like the whole thing of like stupidity.
All right, there you go. And the cat's name was Lemons.
Yeah.
How did that get so much play though? It's just like it was like such a crazy story that.
Dude, Lameme controls all of hobby content.
That's what I mean. Like, I guess my question was like, why did Lamine decide to make so much content around that one thing? I just kept seeing lemons. And I'm like, what is this?
Nobody knows how the mind of Lamine works.
I watched Lamine at National make a meme and like asked him why he was doing certain things, and he was like, "I just can't explain it to you, Christina." And I watched that meme after he posted it blow up, so I get it. He can't his mind is a powerful thing.
Oh, I'm told Seablez is the originator of lemons. So shout out Seablez. Seablez also is at the helm of a lot of hobby content.
Dude, I met Seablez at the Phoenix Card Show, and
Nice.
I thought he was delightful.
Nice. He definitely delightful.
Pretty sure he didn't know who I was, which is fine. I was like, I'm Cardboard Chronicles. He was like, yep.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Good for you.
Okay, Hobby Champs says, if money was no object.
Why is that, dude? Come on. We gotta cut that
No,
shit
look,
out.
he knows, all right? If money was no object.
The drug one?
Would you wander the National on the effects of lysergic acid diethylamide or psilocybin? I don't know what either of those compounds are.
I have the perfect answer for this.
All right.
Yes.
Good. Man, when money is no object, a lot of things become possible.
Yeah, I was just like, I think he just means which of those two drugs would I buy more cards on? Buy more cards with.
Okay. All right. No questions about shit beasts or crypto dick butts for.
Okay, rate the questions this week then from our audience. Is this like a B or a D? What are we talking here?
We still have a lot of questions, but it's really getting to that time. Oh, there's one more question I wanted to get to before I rate the questions. This comes from Cajun Cardboard. He asks Scottie Pippen or Tracy McGrady.
Yeah. Yep.
And Scottie Pippen isn't even a top 1,000 all-time player. Tracy McGrady led the league in points, player efficiency rating, offensive win share, and box plus minus all in the same year. He would have won MVP if journalists were more tuned in to statistics during that year. Tracy McGrady in a landslide.
So wait a second here. People are going to take this as you're putting down Scotty to therefore, inflate, rise up Michael Jordan, right?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
But, my answer is Tracy McGrady as well. But I don't know about this not in the top 1,000 stuff.
Dude, that's me being generous.
There's like 5,000 players in the history of the NBA, right? Or some crazy
So he's in
low
the
number.
top 20%. He should be. He's looking in on the top 20%.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Dude, he's like top 40 on most all-time lists. Top
Was
40.
he was in the top 100 thing, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, he was like 30th or so on maybe I don't know. He was very high.
He's a little bit Reggie Miller-ish for me,
Yeah,
where I'm like, his name is very, very big, and I'm looking at the stats, and I'm like, what?
yeah, dude. Pippen averaged 16, 6, and 5.
Yeah,
Which is not bad.
People are forgetting T-Mac averaged didn't he average 30 one year? And
Dude,
there's
I was looking at this. I believe he averaged 32 in a year. Dude, in the same season, he won the scoring title, was the highest PER, highest win shares, highest box plus minus. You don't have a better season than
with
that.
the Magic, so that was 2004 or something like that.
Yeah,
2003.
right in that era. Yep.
Yeah, because I remember I used to play NBA 2K, NBA Live or whatever. 2003. It was LeBron's rookie year. I used to play because I would always draft T-Mac first because he was the best, and then I would get LeBron in the turn because he was so young. And it was you have T-Mac and LeBron on the same team. I just remember T-Mac was the best on the video game circuit because he was on the Magic and he was kind of all they had, and he just went berserk.
Yeah, dude, T-Mac's awesome. T-Mac has the greatest 30-second clip in NBA history when he scored
8 points in 13 seconds.
Yeah, something so absurd against the Rockets. That's
what he did. He did that thing, and they won that game, dude.
Dude, he was a beast. Dude.
And there's a very real footage that exists in the world where Kobe Bryant is saying that T-Mac was his toughest assignment.
Let's go.
So,
Julian crashing Reggie Miller in the chat, by the way. Just want to acknowledge you. Carry on.
I just can't help but not trash Reggie Miller. It's just way too easy. His stats are not good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Versus the Spurs, South in 2005. I said versus. He was on the Rockets. Sorry. Yeah, dude. Stats are amazing. 13 and 33 seconds. Dude.
And they won the game. More importantly.
It was so nasty. Now, funnily enough, though, Reggie Miller has a similar thing, but his was like 8 points in 15 seconds or something.
I like how we started talking about T-Mac, and all of a sudden Zane perks up and starts slamming the shot.
Zane's desk is rising right now.
You said John Wall tonight.
I did give a shout out to John.
We talked about T-Mac. Let's start talking about Kawhi, and this guy will just be full raging.
Dude, you want to talk about something? Go get that. Here, I'll give you something to talk about.
Where is it?
It's in the shoebox.
Is it?
And Reggie's got this, right? The choke thing. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty damn iconic, but like his stats are garbage.
Dude, Reggie was vicious, man. That dude had an edge.
Isn't he like a 5-time All-Star?
That's what Julian said, which is not.
Dude, I think Steve Francis has 5 All-Stars.
Okay, hold on. This is for Zane. He's already seen this, but let's do
And
it.
it's for Josh.
Let's do it twice. We pulled this out of a Prism box.
I did hear about this.
Yes, Paul George, 2021 Prism Gold, numbered, of course, 6 of 10.
Let's go.
Everything.
Go.
I think every numbered card in that shoebox is numbered 6.
Wait a second. Hold on. Let's back up. Are you sending him that card?
I don't know. I dangled it.
It's like $5 tops, right?
Dude, this is like $500 right here, man.
No, it's not. No, it's
Be
not.
bagging on my card. Let's see what.
That was not bagging on your card. That was a joke bagging on Paul George.
Dude, I'm trying to pump this card to the masses right now.
Yeah, you're like, I'm trying to get a fucking bidding war going.
Come on, Zane.
Dude.
What other Jokic's you got, Zane?
I got a question for you. If the Herbert Shield sold for $1.8 million, what does that make your Paul George Prism Gold?
Dude, the value went way up.
$200 million.
Ask yourself that.
All right. Here we go. Paul George's 2012 Prism Gold has sold for $6,000
At the peak of 2021.
at the peak.
2012.
His last year, about a year ago, his 2019 PSA 10 went for $800. PSA 9 in January went for that's the 2020 went for $600.
All right.
I mean, I guess I wasn't really that far up.
Yeah, it's a few hundred. I'd say like $300-$400. Yeah.
$280 for the PSA 9 of the 2018. Yeah, maybe $200 to $300.
South says for $400 to $500, and all of a sudden he's already pumping it up.
Paul George, man, to the moon. Suddenly the Clippers prospects are looking real good this year.
So what happened? You guys opened a random hobby box?
Yeah, no, we went to S&P Sports Cards when we first moved down here, and we bought a box of 2021 Prism. And then we just finally opened it yesterday, and this was by far the best card.
How hard is it to pull a gold Prism?
I don't know.
They're 350 cards.
Pretty tough, I think. You're not going to get one in every box.
10, like, obviously, out of 10.
Have you ever pulled a gold Prism before?
Yeah.
Yeah, we pulled a few. All right. I think that'll do it for the questions for tonight. Now we just need to settle on a title.
Oh, enough.
Yeah, the theme of enough was strong, and it's something worth thinking about for sure.
I mean, I don't hate the title of clearly knows football or whatever he said to me.
Knows enough about football.
No, it's got to be just enough.
Yeah, no, I know. The one-word title is.
I just love that whole. I know I brought this up last time, but like this whole like one-word caption thing is just so good.
It's not as easy as it looks, folks.
Because Enough sounds like a really like hipster, awesome documentary on Netflix that I just would watch for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
What emoji to go with it? Yeah, let's think of an emoji. Hold on.
A trash can never fails.
You're like panicking. You're like, fuck, trash can.
Oh, the hand? I like that.
Enough.
Or like the stop sign.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah. I like the hand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
No more, sir.
That's clickbaity, too. Because people are like, enough.
I'm trying to think of something, another emoji.
Also, the eggplant emoji just applies to a lot.
Christina's got it. That one's good too. Enough with the shrug.
Mm.
Enough with the red circle. I like that one. Yep, the stop sign.
Josh, do you see a circle there? Because it might be.
He said stop. He said stop sign. He knows it's an octagon.
Yeah, I knew that it was an octagon.
Before we go, have you ever heard? You've definitely heard of the saying.
Lemons?
No. You're an expert on lemons now. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
I mean, I have now. You know, in the last like 2 weeks, I've heard it.
Okay. Well, this is a very popular saying among gamblers. We need to come up with the hobby equivalent.
Okay, in what context of the hobby? What are you talking
I
about?
don't know. We just need a slogan like that. Gambling, I'm
That's
very jealous right now. Gambling has this catchy little slogan that just sums up everything about gambling. Hey, it's great.
Well, because like
It's good if the team wins. It's great if they cover. I love it, but now I'm jealous. We need one.
because it's such a great phrase because in gambling, the content is they don't give a shit about your record. They care about like what record you cover, so that I want to bet. Like, I want to have confidence to bet with you versus like, yeah, great. You were fucking, 10-7. You made the playoffs. I don't give a shit. You guys didn't cover enough games.
Yes.
Like, you actually suck.
Yes, exactly. Bingo.
So good.
We need something like that for the hobby.
Say it again, though. Say the phrase. I feel like we have a phrase like that. Someone on the show came up with a cool phrase.
We do have a great one. We do have that one. That is the hobby's answer to it. The gambling phrase is good teams win, great teams cover. Good cards go up, great cards set records. We're good.
Go ahead and say the card one, though, that I came up with.
Is we don't love sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments because we love sports cards.
Remember when that used to be tough for you?
It used to be so hard. It used to be such a struggle bus. And then I just stopped thinking about it and it just started flowing.
Yeah. The pressure's off.
The pressure's off.
Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Isn't that such a great little slogan?
Because you don't even have to win the game to cover.
Exactly. And they think because then the gambler wins. I love that quote so much.
Well, I bet on all the big spreads. Like I bet on the Broncos to cover. They're -9.5. The Rams, they're -9.5. The
Damn.
Bengals are -7.5. I bet on that. Like I'm betting on a bunch of blowouts this week, basically.
Dude, yeah, you're betting on like some double-digit big time.
Dude,
wins.
Cooper Rush, garbage. Bengals are fucking pissed. They lost. They're gonna come out guns blazing.
They are.
Same with the Broncos.
Hey,
And the Rams.
that Joe Burrow, man, I've seen that guy throw 10 interceptions in a row, and he just keeps coming.
So there, Nick's got one. Good cards make you money. Great cards you never sell.
Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close.
Dude, are the Panthers the lock of the week?
Dude, lock it in, baby. The Giants are 2-point favorites against Baker Mayfield, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey.
Robbie Anderson, the second name out of your mouth.
Dude, Robbie Anderson, new WR1 on the block. Panthers are coming for everybody's lunch money. Big win coming this weekend. That +2 against the New York Giants, very disrespectful.
The Giants are favored at home, right?
Yeah.
Don't they usually give home teams a 3-point? swing?
I think it's become 2 recently.
Okay.
So they're basically saying they're an even, which is very disrespectful in and of itself.
I know that I can't speak on football topics because I'm just a dirt, but like I heard Robbie Anderson change the spelling of his name.
He did. He did do that. And it seems to be working.
Because he had a bomb of a touchdown in that first. DJ Moore, where were you at?
Dude, I have more in a league, and I'm not happy about this.
Did you, what happened in that league? You didn't tell the people.
Ah, man, I can't remember. I got so many leagues.
You're in 2 leagues.
Oh, shit, it's just a lot of numbers. I go through a lot of content. I don't know.
I even have a text screenshot of you waving the white flag.
Dude, come on, man. Saquon is going to go off for 87 points. Like, let's just chill.
Dude, I had like Elijah Mitchell left the game early with injury. I had Kyle Pitts throw up a dud. I had another dud. I was carried by my horses. It was like a total boom or bust week for my team. It was like Barkley and Jefferson had 80 points or whatever.
Dude, Jefferson was – dude, he didn't even have to try in the second half. He put up like 40 in the first half.
You know when the announcers are like, why is he so open? Then it's a good day.
Dude, he's looking really scary. But he's also –
What do you think about the Vikings?
He's being very hyped. Very, very hyped. Here. All right, now I'm going to have my curmudgeonly rant for a minute here. There are 2 players in NFL history to win Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl, and most receptions in a year, most receiving yards in a year, and most receiving touchdowns in a year. There's only 2 players in the history of football to have done that over their career. Jerry Rice took 20 years to do it. Cooper Kupp did it in 1. He did it in 1 year. All of it in 1 year. And now Justin Jefferson's better than him. Now Jamar Chase is better than him. Cooper Kupp gets no respect. This guy had Jerry Rice's career highlights in 1 year. Put some respect on Cooper Kupp.
It's because he's white, right?
I mean, whatever the case may be.
I've heard so many podcasts and gambling takes where they're like, Jefferson's better. He's more athletic, higher ceiling.
Runs faster, jumps higher.
Yeah, I'm like, these are just like white receiver takes. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The disrespect is so palpable for this kid, man.
I took the over on Cooper Kupp yards at 94.5. I love the guy too.
Dude, look, the results are in. The guy he was Super Bowl MVP. Sorry, Matt Stafford, but Cooper Kupp.
So, you want to bet on Kupp versus Jefferson fantasy points at the end of the year?
I do. No, I don't.
That's what I thought.
Jefferson is really good, but Kupp already was really good.
No, I know. I'm just messing with you. Jefferson's a beast, though. He was fucking tearing apart the Packers.
Oh, dude, he's incredible. But the cup is half full, baby.
Well, you should have bid more money and you could have had him.
Oh, I wanted him so bad, too. But
who's your top receiver?
My top receiver, I just have so many leagues, man.
Dude, give me a fucking break.
All those best balls that I'm in. Oh, can you explain to me? Did we play 2 weeks? So how am I 0-2?
Okay. You missed that. It probably flew by because we were voting on things so quickly. And then you were on your phone and your laptop and you made us restart. Basically, in a lot of leagues, people get pissed because you'll score 90 points and you'll win the week, and then someone else will score 140 and lose.
Yep.
So you basically every week is two wins. You get a win for winning your matchup, and then you get being in the top 5.
Being in the top, got it. That's cool. Okay.
Because I've been in leagues where
I got upset.
I've been in leagues where it's only the top 5, bottom 5, and the matchups mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Which is cool, but it kind of takes away the fun of the shit talk of the matchups. So this is kind of a nice combo.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so my best receivers are Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, and Darnell Mooney.
You got depth.
They should be good, but dude, Mooney and Moore were complete duds. These guys are supposed to be WR1s.
Duds.
Duds. And like my tight end is Kittle, and like so I've got to rely on Baker Mayfield and Trey Lance and Justin Fields to get the ball to these guys, and Mitch Trubisky to get Deontay Johnson the ball.
Well, I took the under on that game, so fuck Deontay Johnson. That's the other fun thing about gambling is you just start like immediately hating on players because you don't want them to perform well, or you do, or
you have to. That's a that's a prerequisite. A gambling basketball podcast that I like, by the way, is called Buckets. It's good.
Give me your take on the Vikings-Eagles game.
The Eagles beat the Detroit Lions by 3 points and gave up 35 points to the Detroit Lions. Kirk Cousins, the sleeper MVP pick of Michael Irvin, is gonna put in work against this Eagles.
Go.
Guess what?
Guess what? The Eagles are favored by 2.5.
2.5? Okay.
So I love the Vikings money line.
Oh man, okay, all right. You got the dude. If the Vikings do win that game,
it's like plus 140. It's like you get mega odds.
I love it. And then the Vikings are rolling, dude. If they knock off the Packers and the Eagles, I mean, those are supposed to be 2 NFC playoff teams. So,
and the counter though is that Kirk Cousins is garbage on primetime, big time games.
Oh no.
He's like 2-10 or some ridiculous number on primetime Monday night, Sunday night games.
Whew. Well, he's 2-10. I mean, that's a lot of games.
Something really bad. Yeah, it's like, oof. Like every time he's on Monday Night Football or Sunday night, poo-poo.
I mean, Jay Cutler used to be terrible on night games, but that's because he had diabetes.
That's a good reason. Dude, I'm on the Vikings bandwagon. Not just because I have Jefferson. I just watched a lot of that game, and I just was really impressed with the Vikings.
Let's go, man. The Vikings are overdue.
I'm sick of Rodgers now. I was on Rodgers, now I'm sick of him.
Yeah, man. He doesn't have any weapons at the wide receiver positions, and I mean, coming off of that loss to the Niners last year, it's just like, man, how do you get excited about Rodgers and the Packers this year? I don't know.
Dude, he fucking dropped a dime on a guy, and he dropped it.
Yeah, Watson.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was really bad.
I'm about to start buying up Kirk Cousins cards just for the, the fun, like, irony of this whole drama I find myself in.
And you know what I love about that move? You already made the comparison for everybody. It's not like you bought Kirk Cousins and he's too cheap. No, you told everybody, you made the comparison, and now you're like, all right, screw it. I'm going to go get me a Kirk Cousins Grail and ride it to a Vikings Super Bowl.
Right. And watch it go up to $3,400.
Yeah. Yep. Facts. Oh, look at RELAX. Rodgers is gonna Rodgers.
I love how people keep bringing it up. But last year, after that fucking beatdown they took from the Saints, they had Devontae Adams. This year, they do not.
Facts. But Devontae lost week 1 too.
They're gonna fucking roll in week 2 because the Cardinals suck. Fucking fat.
Are the Cardinals just trash? Is that what happened in week 1?
Worst defense in the NFL.
Damn, that's not good.
Dude, listen to this fact. This is a stat. The Kansas City Chiefs in week 1 ran 66 plays. They had 33 first downs. Now, I'm not great at math, but that seems like they get a first down on every other fucking play.
Wow. That is one of the most embarrassing and offensive stats I've heard when it comes to a defense.
Yeah. And he had 5 touchdowns and no pick. It was just like, are you guys going to even... Whew. I bet on the Raiders to cover. Great teams cover, my friend.
There you go. We need the hot people. Okay, South started a clubhouse room. He's telling us...
Let's go.
What's up? See you guys later. See you guys next week.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it's sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.